San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Thursday to everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. We are the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3. The Fan just fit up a great, epic Padres roundtable presented by Epic Wings. Down some Epic Wings right before the roundtable. That's always like a mad dash. It literally looks like a food eating contest right before we start. Try to knock down some Epic Wings at 8:45, 8:50. Try to get everything washed out, ready to go before you start talking on the roundtable commercial free for an hour. But we had a great time on the roundtable, talking a lot, obviously, about the Padres and the Dodgers, talking about the situation with Fernando Tatis Jr. not being able to swing the bat as well as he probably wants to, as much as fans want him to, and a lot to break down on today's show. It's very similar to what we talked about on the roundtable. How do you evaluate the Padres against the Dodgers of these last 3 days? And that's kind of where we're going to start the show. I mean, later on, we'll talk about the individual game yesterday, which I thought was kind of a clunker for the Padres. You know, we'll talk about whether or not they're asking too much of their pitching staff. Padres offense seems like it might be trending in the wrong direction, but at the same time, that Tony brought up a good point on the roundtable. We'll talk about that in the 11 o'clock hour. Lucas Giolito is working into his velocity. We'll talk about what that means in the 11 o'clock hour. At noon, how about the Padres maybe bringing back Josh Hader? Padres are interested in the relief pitching market. Dennis Lin had an article on that. That's interesting, considering the fact that Eno Saris on Ben and Woods this morning said, when talked about the bullpen, he said, they are on pace to be the best. I'm like, oh, yeah, like the best in the league? No, like the best ever. The best ever bullpen. Yet the Padres want to add to it. We'll talk about that in the noon hour. In the 1 o'clock hour, we have a couple of guests. We will have Bob Scanlan on to finish up the show. He's going to help us recap the Padres-Dodgers series. And then at 1 o'clock to start off the 1 o'clock hour, San Diego FC goalkeeper CJ Dos Santos will join the show. They're promoting a fun giveaway for San Diego FC.
Coming up on Saturday night, the World Cup mini ball giveaway. We'll also be talking about CJ's call up to the Cape Verde World Cup team coming up next month.
So that'll all be
that's next month
in the 1 o'clock hour. Yeah, it is. Well, today's May 21st. Next month, dude, that's like in a couple of weeks. Gets here so fast. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973 if you want to join the show today. Let's talk about the Padres and the Dodgers one series in to this rivalry in 2026. I thought this was going to be a measuring stick series. I thought regardless of the results, this is the series that you take a step back and you go, all right, how far off are we from this LA Dodgers team that we're going to have to compete with for the division? How far off are we from this team that we have to compete with the National League? Regardless if you get swept, sweep, take 2 out of 3, lose 2 out of 3. This was a measuring stick series, and this is why I'm going to tell people today to not be like all in the dumps because the Padres lost 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers. Look, yesterday, I didn't think yesterday was that great of a game for the Padres. I didn't think they played that great of a game yesterday against the Padres or against the Dodgers. I don't think it was a game that you would really write home about. I don't think it's a game to be proud of. It was just, and I think it stings a little bit extra, obviously, for fans because it was against the Dodgers. And you had a great chance to take 2 out of 3 from LA this week. And the mistakes mounted for the Padres. And the Dodgers do exactly what they have always done, and that's take advantage of them. They take advantage of mistakes. The Padres, when the Dodgers made a mistake, answered with another mistake. Then that the Dodgers then took advantage of. So overall from the series, I look at this series as the Padres are close. The gap is smaller, but it's still a real gap between them and LA. And I don't even think LA played the best that they possibly could play over this 3-game stretch. Padres definitely did not. They entered this series with a chance to prove that they belong in the same tier as the Dodgers. And for stretches, they absolutely look capable of doing that. So do a lot of teams in the National League. Monday, they won a tight game. Tuesday, lost a 1-run game after a costly error by Mason Miller. Wednesday, had opportunities early but never delivered the knockout hit. I think the final game exposed the current difference between the two teams. The Dodgers take advantage of mistakes, which the Padres did at the beginning of the season. But in big games, the Dodgers take advantage of mistakes and their superstars dictate the game. The Padres superstars, well, most of this year, they have really been non-existent. That's the biggest takeaway. That's what you see out of these two teams that compete. The Dodgers, who have won a couple of World Series that pay top dollar for their team, their superstars play and their superstars perform. The Padres superstars did not do that. The role players were great. I thought Miguel Andujar was great this week. The role players go out there and get a job done. The superstars haven't had that success against the Dodgers as of late. I mean, Manny will hit a home run here or there, but overall, you need more out of the superstars if you're the Padres. And I think this series really told that story. I mean, let's talk about how the Dodgers stars delivered. Padres compared to the Padres stars that didn't. Shohei Ohtani was the difference yesterday. Led off the game with a home run through 5 scoreless innings, escaped the Padres' biggest rally, completely controlled the momentum. And that's not to say like he's just so much more dominant than everybody else, which he has technically been so far this year. Ohtani hadn't had great numbers against the Padres pitching in the last couple of years. Once being it with the Angels, of course, once last year with LA. But he went out there and shined for the Dodgers yesterday. Freddie Freeman piled up extra base hits. Mookie Betts kept reaching base, even though he has struggled this year offensively. The Dodgers consistently look dangerous, especially at the top of the order. The Padres had traffic. The Dodgers made impacts. And that's a huge distinction. That's a big reason why they won yesterday. How close are these teams really? I mean, the series to me felt like a measuring stick. I would say it's a measuring stick more than a reality check. I honestly think it's encouraging for the Padres, the way that they were like with the Dodgers thick and thin for the first 3 games. But you don't want to be the team that's just competing with them anymore. You want to be the team that is beating them on a series basis, on a season series basis, and of course on a playoff basis. But this series reinforced that the Dodgers still have more margin for error than the Padres do. They have more reliable star production, and they have a more dangerous offense. The Padres can match the Dodgers inning to inning, pitch to pitch, game to game, but until their stars consistently produce like stars, the Dodgers remain the standard not only in the National League West, but in the National League. The Padres stars need to be able to perform in these big games. And even if in seasons where they had been performing, which right now they're not, even the game against the Dodgers, it's been like a little bit different. So they haven't been able to get over the hill yet, get over that hump against this team. But I think it's a measuring stick. And here's the reason. Because if they were to win this series, you couldn't go on a parade and talk about how great you are because you took 2 out of 3 from LA. When you play 162 games, and we talked about this again for this next 2 months, it's the toughest months. You got to play about 500 ball. Try to figure out your problems with your offense. Fernando, Manny. This was a good measuring stick, I think, for San Diego. So, again, it's never as good as you think. It's never as bad as you think. I don't leave this series, Frank, going, oh, my God, the Padres are in deep crap. I don't think that.
No, you won a 1-run game against them on Monday night. You had a mistake in the 9th inning by a guy who never makes mistakes. Cost you a game that you could have won. And yesterday, the offense just didn't show up. You had 5 hits, all of them singles. No one had 2 hits. The big 3 didn't have a hit. Jackson Merrill potentially got hurt last night. He had to get taken out of the game early. So, I mean, it was a solid, I would say it was a solid week so far. I think if you were looking at can we be competitive against the best teams in the National League, I think the answer to that is yes.
I think so too. I don't think that, and here's the deal. They asked the question on the roundtable, how would you evaluate the last week of games, not just the Dodgers series? That would be the last 2 series. I think Tony brought up a good point. They tagged really good pitching against Seattle over the weekend. The offense is trending in the right direction. They went against 2 tough pitchers in Yamamoto and Ohtani. They ended up beating Yamamoto. They only needed the 1 run. The bullpen and the pitching staff shut things down on Monday night. Tuesday, what did they do against the guy they should hit? They hit him. They hit the guy they should hit. They scored runs against the guy they should hit. They made a couple of too many mistakes, and then they lost to Ohtani yesterday, and they had opportunities to win. They didn't get the big hit. You had Fernando roll over on that ground ball, as we talked about before on the roundtable. I mean, at the beginning of the season, that pitch, he's hitting the other way, and everybody's freaking out he's not hitting home runs. Well, now he's trying to pull everything. And so instead of hitting that ball the other way, maybe for a base hit, it's, wow, he's got to pull everything. He's not pulling anything. You pull that pitch, what does it do? It's a rollover ground ball to shortstop.
And correction, Fernando did have a hit yesterday. So one of the big 3 had an hit yesterday.
Right. But at the end of the day, you had opportunities to win that series. And overall, over the last week, I evaluate the last week as encouraging. I really do, especially from the offensive side. I think people are going to look at the last 3 games and freak out about the offense, but the reality is they hit the guy they were supposed to in terms of starting pitching. They tagged really good starting pitchers for the Seattle Mariners. And as Tony said today on the roundtable, and I agree with, I see the light at the end of the tunnel for this offense.
Yeah, for sure. There are certain things to be encouraged about, especially with the way that this team hit over the weekend more so. You knew coming into this series with the pitching matchups that you saw, you knew Emmett Sheehan was going to be the best option or the best opportunity to get hits and potentially put up multiple runs and win the game. And that's exactly what you did against Emmett Sheehan, the guy you're supposed to do that against. The guys that you knew you were going to have more trouble with, guess what? You had more trouble with them. And for Seattle, that's a team that's been very up and down this year. They've been looking for their stride all season long, and you beat their brains in, which is exactly what you should be doing against a team like that. So overall, this last week, the Padres are a good team. They take care of business against the teams that they are supposed to take care of business against. And they're also good enough to compete, maybe not win every single game, but compete against the best that the National League has to offer.
Yeah, I was encouraged with the performance yesterday. Not yesterday. I was encouraged by the performance over the last week. Yesterday, I didn't think it was a great game. I thought that was kind of a step in the wrong direction, but they had opportunities. Dodgers executed on their pitches. Padres didn't execute with runners in scoring position. They didn't execute with runners in scoring position like all series.
0 for 5 with runners in scoring position yesterday as
I think they were 0 for 9 on the series. I saw an 0 for 9 on the flash on the TV yesterday. They hadn't been good in driving in runners with guys in scoring position. But again, like, you can't, like, the problem with like hyping that series up every single time is when things don't go wrong or don't go right. Sorry. All of a sudden you have this like negative outlook on the team. I mean, I saw so many comments yesterday about, I was like, oh, this team, just everybody admit it. This team sucks. It's like, let's relax. Okay. We're going to talk about Fernando in just a little bit, but to kind of ease into that conversation before we talk about last night's game. I mean, they asked it on the roundtable, and honestly, like, nobody wants to hear this, but it's the fact of the matter. There's really nothing you can do at this point with Fernando. You're not going to do the extreme things of DFAing or cutting him. You're not sending him down to AAA. You can't do that anyway. I mean, what are you going to do? Sit him for a couple of days? What is that going to do? Aside from like a mental reset for like one day off, he needs to be able to hit his way out of all his problems. And you can't do that unless you do what?
Play.
Unless you play.
And he's got a mental reset day off today, too, as they wait for Lasso Clemente to come down from Anaheim. So you have your mental reset day here. Here's your day off. Congratulations.
He has to play. The other thing too is everybody's like, well, maybe you move him down or something. Why? What does it matter? At that point, what does it matter? He's got to play. He needs reps. I didn't mind moving him back to the leadoff spot. He's got to find his way through this on his own. And he's got a lot of people talking to him right now, almost guaranteed. He's probably trying to get more. He's probably asking everybody on the planet for advice. He has to do this on his own. And I think this is the biggest, and we're going to talk about this later. This is the biggest slump of his career by far. I mean, this is the worst offensive stretch of his career. I don't think it's something more serious. I think what we talked about on the roundtable today is really true when it comes to Fernando. It's a lot of mechanical stuff. And that's why, everybody likes to crush the hard hit rate. The reason why that's a stat is to show that he's not aging. That's the whole point of this conversation. It's not like, oh, we're satisfied he's hitting into double plays. Nobody's saying that. But what we're saying is it's not because he has just not, he's lost all of his power and he's lost all of his ability. That's not the case. That's not the case. If you want to join the show today, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I think this series was the series of missed opportunities, Frank. I really do.
Yeah, and you were right. It was 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position over the course of the series. So, again, game 1, you played them tight, played them close, came out with a 1-run win. Game 2, made a late mistake after giving up the lead, made a late mistake, didn't have time to come back from it, split the series. And then last night, it was just a bad night. Offense didn't show up. Randy Vásquez didn't have his best stuff, clearly, and you ran into Shohei Ohtani.
Right.
Doing Shohei Ohtani things. So, and the score was respectable. 4-0 is respectable against the Dodgers. Of course, you'd like it to be closer, and of course, you want to win.
You didn't throw any of your big arms out of the bullpen yesterday either, and
right.
they did a fair job, if you will. I mean, when Wandy gave up a run and Marinaccio gave up the run late.
Yeah, but you kept it close. It wasn't 7-0. It wasn't out of control. You were still within striking distance. So, I would say for the series, I'd give it a B, maybe a B- overall for the series. But for the week, as was asked, I would say it's an A- for the week.
I think they had a solid week. I mean, they I see the light at the end of the tunnel, like Tony said.
Mm-hmm.
Minus maybe some individuals. Fernando looks like he's going backwards. We're going to talk about him when we come back. We're also going to talk about Randy Vásquez's outing from yesterday. Randy didn't have his best stuff, but you know what? It's actually not as bad as you think it was, just like it always is. I'm going to explain why when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Room Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. 10:24 on a Thursday. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. I want to get to the phones today. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. We're going to start things off with Brandon in Carlsbad. Brandon, what's going on, man?
Well, you guys, the bold prediction was definitely not bold at all. I was there. And, it's not fun, but I'll say this much. Everything you guys said, I completely agree with. If I look back at how we're doing as a whole, I think we're great. I think there's some tuning up that needs to be done. Fernando's obviously got his issues. I mean, here's my only thing, if I have something, is sitting along that third base line in a sea of blue in my beloved home stadium. It's just San Diego Padre fans. If you're a season ticket holder and you don't go to Dodgers games, shame on you. I'll just say that. I'll leave it at that. Other than that, we can look at it a whole bunch of different ways. As you and Frank know, I'm a glass half full type of guy. But my buddy and I that went, shout out to Rashad, we were kind of analyzing a lot of things, and we stayed throughout the whole thing. And then we just realized that, you know what, we got to also take that sting away. You talked about it yesterday, Braden, of like hyping up the Dodgers. It's hard as a fan. Like, I think it's more for the players and the organization and being a consummate professional, where quit making a monster out of the team, right? But it does, dude. It's like, I don't know, what was that, 5th, 6th inning? Bases loaded, and here comes Tatis. Here's your time to shine. And yes, our big dollar guys need to be clutch, and they haven't been. And they have a couple dinks and dunks here and there. And what did he do? He dribbled into a double play, and be sitting in that sea of blue and have to deal with that. Yeah, it sucks, man. But I'm not going to ho-hum about it. There's a lot of baseball left. We're doing good. We got hopefully new ownership that'll keep the Peter Seidler vibe alive. And that's what I'm going to hang my hope on. I'm always a Friar faithful. Appreciate you guys always take my call. I'm a little melancholy today because, boy, I was filming that every Tatis at bat. Let's get that home run off Ohtani. But, I'll still be wishful thinking. You and Frank have a great day, guys. God bless.
See you, Brandon. Appreciate the phone call. I just think, from a perspective of like a Padres fan, it obviously stings more because of like the Dodgers. But at the end of the day, it's another series in the standings. Got to be able to bounce back. I mean, the last week you went 1-2 against the Brewers. You went 3-0 against the Mariners, 1-2 against the Dodgers. That's like winning 2 series and losing 1 series at the end of the day. I mean, it's a game of math. Baseball is. When you start viewing it like a little bit of math, you don't fall in the dumps as much. I think the Padres are in a good spot. I think they need to play a lot better if they want to beat teams like LA. I think they're close though, but they got to be able to. Their stars need to be able to shine, and they haven't been able to do that. So, day off today. Hopefully they're going to flush it. Get ready for the A's. A's are a little. They're going to be tough. They're a scrappy team. They have a lot of bad things happen to them, but they got a lot of young guys that make plays, and it's a scary team to deal with. So Padres got 3 games against them coming up this weekend. Got to be able to take 2 out of 3. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Joe in Ramona. Joe, what's going on, man?
Hey guys, how you doing? Hey, what you think about something? I don't know who the batting coach is for the Padres. I do know there is a batting coach that was with Texas. He won, 1 or 2 rings with them, left there. He was with this other club right now that has the best record in baseball called the Atlanta Braves. And look at what they're done. And I tell you what you do, his name is Tim Hires. If you go online and watch a YouTube video about him, it's unbelievable. And I think, I don't know, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. I think we need somebody like that can get in there with Toddy and all these guys that are struggling right now with their batting and figure out what's going on. What would you guys think?
Well, I mean, the hitting coach thing, Joe, and here's what I'm going to say, because I heard it on Ben and Woods earlier. Let me ask you that. If you had to guess, Frank, what the average tenure time is for a batting coach for a Major League Baseball team? How many years do you think that would be?
2 to 3 years.
It's 1.5 years. Hitting coaches usually last 1.5 years on their team.
Because they're the easiest ones to fire.
Well, that and the fact that, like, if they do well, they get promoted and they move around. And it's like, I just, the hitting coach thing is just so, and I get it. I mean, right now, and I appreciate the phone call, Joe. Like, the thing is, you start running out of, like, you start running out of ideas to try to, like, fix this thing.
Yeah, and because let me ask you this. Has Craig Stammen done anything to get fired?
No, absolutely not.
So the next step is, let's say Steven Souza Jr. does get fired. Padre fans get their wish. Steven Souza Jr. is now fired. In a month's time, the next hitting coach comes in and doesn't change anything. The next person you're calling for his head is Craig Stammen. And that sounds absolutely ridiculous. You're not going to give a guy 1 month. You're gonna fire the next guy, and the next guy in this case is Craig Stammen. It goes up from there. He's done nothing to get himself fired. And again, you saw what happened over the course of the weekend. What happens when Steven Souza Jr. does step back in and say, listen, we got to figure this out. We got to get back to our game plan. We got to get back to doing what we're doing. No one's complaining about the Padre offense over the weekend. So that it's such an easy thing to do is fire the hitting coach, but you also have to realize that firing the hitting coach is also the first step towards firing the manager, because you can't fire the players. And Craig Stammen has done absolutely nothing worthy of getting fired for. Nothing.
I don't think really anybody in the staff has. I think it comes down to the players who got to go out there and perform, and they've flat out said it themselves as well. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Susie in Kensington. Susie, what's going on?
Hey, Braden. Hi, Frank. How are you guys?
Doing well.
Couple things that I wanted to say. First of all, that Elvis was saying it right. A little less conversation, a little more action. I mean, it's just, we talk about this. Oh, they're going to come out of it. They're going to come out of it. Tatis is going to get better. Machado, Cronenworth, all of them. But the thing that I find, over the years as a Padres fan, they don't have mental toughness when it comes to rising in big occasions. And I was at least encouraged, on the game 2 days ago, but yesterday it was like a nightmare. It was the same thing as the Cubs last year when we got there. It was the same thing as the last 2 games when we had the Dodgers on the ropes. It's like the mental toughness doesn't come through. And, no matter what you say about how much the Dodgers have as far as money, they come through. They come through. The guys come through. And, the Mets have a bunch of money. They're not coming through. But it's just like every big game, they don't come through. And, yes, Sheets is coming through, Campusano, Castellanos. But good Lord, I'm so tired of waiting for Fernando to be Fernando. Like, it's like they need not a hitting coach, they need a mental coach. All these people have incredible abilities, but it's getting it out of them. And you can have the best record going, but if you get to the big games in the playoffs and you pull the same kind of mental crap, it doesn't matter. And I don't see that changing. And that's what frustrates me more than anything. This team has the ability, but for God's sakes, do something. Like Manny, this is a joke. And I'm frustrated. I love the team, but whatever the heck is going on with Tatis, get over it. Like, have somebody work with him on envisioning success or something, because he has the ability physically. So that's all I have to say. I'm not giving up on them. I just get tired of the same thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, Susie, get tired of, especially what it looks like against LA a lot of the times. I think that's a frustrating thing. I think that's separate from the team being 29-20, is you want to see the team go out there and and beat up on LA, which they haven't been able to really do. And if they go out there and show the performance that they did last night or in some of the games, and you see the mistakes, and this happens in other games, but the fact that it's against the Dodgers magnifies it. And we have so we are so in the recency bias that like a lot of fans are feeling the way Susie is today, especially when it comes to the Padres playing the Dodgers, because it always seems like LA comes through and is not phased, and it always seems like the Padres kind of come up short in those series.
And again, this has nothing to do with losing 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers. Just because the Padres are 9 games over 500 doesn't mean they're immune to criticism. Us calling out their lack of hitting and being frustrated when they're not coming through with guys on base, that's what you guys always want us to do, which is hold the team accountable. That's what we're doing. We're not, just because the team is 9 games over 500 doesn't mean that everything is perfect. It's not. The offense has been a problem. In the last couple of weeks, we've been saying, how is this team this good with all the problems that it's had? 9 games over 500, every single team has problems. Every single team has major problems. Half of this league right now is under 500. Half of Major League Baseball is currently playing under 500. Even the Rays have problems. It's okay to still call out those problems. It's not okay to make them the overarching theme of what's going on, because yes, they are 9 games over 500. But just because they're 9 games over 500 doesn't mean you can't talk about and ignore all of the issues that are happening.
I think Susie brings up some good points on the way that they play LA a handful of times. I think that was very prominent last night, and I thought it was prominent in the second half of Game 2, where it just seemed like the Dodgers they were able to rise to the occasion, and the Padres, unfortunately, were not able to. And those are things that you cannot physically do against LA, nor other good teams, and expect to win. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll get more of your phone calls. Tommy in San Diego, please wait on hold. Kevin in Chula Vista will get to you when we come back. Braden Surprenant Show off and running. San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. 10:43 on a Thursday. I know they're two drastically different players, but I can't, like, this whole week, I'm so used to saying Freddie Fermin because he's a Padre that, like, when I said Freddie Freeman, I feel like I'm getting it wrong. But it's not. It's two totally different players. We can't have Freddie Fermin and Freddie Freeman in the same division. Can't have it. Sorry, Freeman. This looks like the Dodgers have to ship him off somewhere else. Or you can have him on the same team, maybe. I kid. I kid.
And especially you as a broadcaster,
it happens.
Getting names mixed up. Like the New York Islanders have two defenders that are on the same line, a Pellick and Pullock. It's like, come on.
I like the Ducks Knights series where there's 1,500 Carlsons. They all spell their name differently.
And coming up in this series, never once in my radio career will you ever hear me call him anything other than Nicholas Kurtz. Never once.
Nicholas.
It'll always be Nicholas Kurtz.
Nice. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Tommy in San Diego. Tommy, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on? Tommy, there.
Hello?
All right, gotcha.
Yeah. You can hear me?
Got you.
Hey, man, I just want you guys don't even know who Al Coupe and Jerry Gross is, because I'm 65 years old, and they had a radio show back in the 60s and 70s, and I've been calling in longer than anybody on the show. And I'm telling you, I've been a Padre fan that whole time. Anybody calling up and complaining about the last 3 years of Padre baseball is an idiot. This has been some of the most exciting baseball of all time, and we don't even belong where we're at right now. We're playing bad, and we're in second place. This is a great time to be a Padre fan.
Tommy, appreciate the phone call.
Had me worried in the first half, not going to lie.
I was like, where is he going with this? I was about to drop a year I was born situation there, but that was great. You know what? I fight this. So it's an interesting topic of discussion because as I was born in 95. I've lived in San Diego my entire life except for college, right? So like the 4 years in college, I didn't live, but I lived here in the summer. It's not like I wasn't here. I mean, I was working for the Padres video board as a college student. So I've always been here. There's not one time I wasn't in San Diego since I was born. And I've seen some terrible baseball. Not as much as Tommy in San Diego has seen. I've seen some bad Padres baseball. And so sometimes I do have that perspective of this is so much better than what it used to be. We should enjoy this because you never know when it's going to go back to what it was. Maybe it never will go back to what it was. I hope it never goes back to what it was when I was a kid growing up and nobody watched the Padres because they were terrible.
You're always going to have those ebbs and flows. I mean, the Dodgers not all that long ago were mired in last place. The Yankees in the 70s were, or the 80s were pathetic. Early 90s, they weren't good either. And then Derek Jeter and the Core Four came in and changed that fortune. Every team goes through dry spells, and the Padres certainly have had their fair share. I wouldn't expect anything like that to come around, at least until Manny, Fernando, and all of them are gone.
I just, but I think at the same time, I think you want to be like the Cardinals, not like the Cardinals currently, because again, this is their like little bit of a bad time right now, and they're starting to come out of it. But the Cardinals, for most of my life, were always in it, always in it. They won a couple of World Series, which is even better, but they always had a chance, and they're always hanging around, and that's what Peter Seidler wanted for the Padres. Just always be around, be relevant. I mean, because before, the Padres were not even part of the conversation at this point in the season, right? So I think you have to understand the perspective of, yes, making the playoffs 3 out of the last 4 years is great. Being as good as they've been since 2020 is great. But then I go to this is where I'm going to flip now to my TCU fandom, okay? So I started rooting for TCU when I attended school there. I attended school there 2014 through 2017. That was like that. That's like the best that they've ever been in football. Now, they were really good way back in the 1930s, if you will, but they had some dark years from the basically 60s through the early 2000s until it was LaDainian Tomlinson and then the first year of Gary Patterson on, where things have changed. And I had watched TCU football during the good years, and at that point, as a fan, I expect them to be in the playoff almost every year. And we have, like Tommy in San Diego, we got we got a guy like Jerry in Alito calling in, going like, you know what? At least we're like in the conversation. We're in a power conference and all that. I get both sides of this. I think you should be able to have the perspective of, yes, this is a lot better than it used to be, but I also think there's a lot of fans out there that want more, and I think you should always be striving for better and striving for greatness. I find myself in the middle, Frank, with the teams that I root for in my life. Yes, the Padres, I've seen a lot of dark days, and this is way better than it used to be. I'll tell you that right now. I would rather have this and us complaining about being in second place and 9 games over 500 or whatever it is. I would much rather have that than have the 2013 Padres, where I don't know anybody on the team. Anybody that's good is getting traded at the deadline. You're in last place by 30-something games, and you're looking forward to the NFL on May 21st. I will take this reality more than the previous reality, but at the same time, I do agree with a lot of fans that want to push for more, because eventually you do want to win a World Series, and you have to be that much better. So I see both sides of it. I think you can have the perspective of appreciation while also striving to be better.
Correct. And I know they've won 2 World Series, but as a Met fan, I sympathize with it because we are a lot alike. The Mets and Padres are very, very alike. The good times come very few and far between, and when they're bad, oh my God, are they bad? Now, I have not seen the worst of it. Of course, I've read up, I've watched videos. I know who guys like Jerry Grody are. Like, that's like, I've seen videos of those guys playing. I didn't live through it. But yeah, when the bad times get so bad that sometimes when the good times come up, you're waiting for the other shoe to fall. And that's kind of how, as a Met fan, you felt in 2015. It's like, okay, we got to run now. When is this going to come falling apart? And it didn't for that year. It fell apart in the World Series. But you got to really appreciate what you have, because you're going to be looking back in years when your team is going through the next lean spell and being like, man, watching Yoenis Cespedes crushing balls with a neon yellow armband was awesome.
I look at. I think you could. I think you could have the perspective of both. I really do. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. It's got to Kevin in Chula Vista. Kevin, what's going on?
Beautiful day here in sunny San Diego. So no matter how bad it gets, Frank, in New York, how bad it gets in San Diego, we got them beat by the weather. There's no question about that. So, Frank, the 69 Mets were one of my favorite teams of all times. Tom Seaver, Ed Kranepool, and you go right down that order. That was one tough group of guys. And even though I was a Red Sox fan at the time growing up and a Padres fan, talk about confusing loyalties, that Mets team of 69 still, in my mind, is one of the ones to behold, considering where that franchise came from. All of a sudden, the amazing Mets in 69. So you can hold your head up high on that one, Frank. Don't worry about it. Getting back to the Padres, I've strike this thing down the middle. I'm not so much concerned about a one-off series with the Dodgers as I am some of the problems that continue to plague the Padres once again got exposed. We know what that is. The problem with the offense, guys, really started last year. And they were miserable last year, and they continue to be miserable overall this year, all things considered. I know they're winning games, but let's not forget when it got down to the crunch time last year, and this is what Manny was talking about last night, or maybe 2 nights ago on his post game, talking about, I'll be there and, we'll all be there when it counts at the end. Well, they weren't. And so, I don't know what the answer is. You got some aging guys here. Manny's one of them. I think there's more to the Fernando story as it relates to the health of that shoulder long-term and the wrist. Those were major surgeries, and I would love to sit down with an orthopedic specialist that can talk about that, because I really believe that there may be some long-term irreparable debility that comes along with that. I would say this on Fernando. If I was his employer, one of the things mentally we talk about is just being in a hole. He's in a hole, and every day he comes to that park, he has to look at that hole, and he's trying desperately to figure out a way to dig out of it. You almost need a vacation at this time, and I would not be opposed to giving Fernando a couple of weeks off, make up some type of injury, broke a hangnail, whatever. He just needs some psychological relief to not having to come to that ballpark every day and face the same thing all over again, desperately trying to mentally uphold and withhold himself. That's kind of where I'm at this point.
Kevin, appreciate the phone call. We're getting close to the top of the hour. My thing, too, on the offense, though, Frank, because people bring up last year being miserable. They had a top 10 offense in average last year, too. Yeah. And people complain that it wasn't a slug. Okay? I mean, it is what it is. I think they kind of ran out of gas in that playoff game. But, by the way, they have ABS last year. Who knows? They probably could have won that last game in the playoffs, despite everything that played out. 11 o'clock hour. When we come back, we'll talk more about Fernando and the lack of offense and some interesting numbers that have popped up over the last couple of weeks with him. Do you know the significance of this day right now? Frank, as we start hour number 2 of the Braden Surprenant Show on Standing Number 1 Sports Station, 97 through the Fan, live in the Bill House Studios. We know how.
I do, yes.
What is the significance of today?
I just saw it, as a matter of fact.
That I'll give you the hint. That last song made me think about it.
The fact that Dae-Sung Koo on this day 21 years ago hit a double against Randy Johnson and then later stole home as a pitcher for the New York Mets. That happened 21 years ago today.
Hit the wrong button. Not what I was looking for.
I'm not wrong. It did happen 21 years ago
You can hit
today.
the like one. But that's not what I was looking for.
Okay.
Significance of today in terms of the fall. We are now 100 days away from what?
College football season?
The start of the college football season. Fire up the music. Now we're getting close. 100 days ago. Speed to the offseason. Get the talking heads to shut up about not liking the 2014 playoff. Get me stoked for college football.
Skylar back in studio every Thursday.
Yeah, probably. Unless she's flying somewhere.
International Tea Day.
No, come on, Clay. You cannot sit there and have a Ohio State avatar or profile picture and then drop that on there. That's a foul on Clay.
Well, let's see if he's right, first of all.
He draws the foul.
It doesn't matter if he's right or not.
No, it's worse if he's not right.
No, actually would make it worse. That'd be a foul out.
Oh no, it is, and it genuinely is International Tea Day.
He probably looked it up before he went on, or unless the guy loves tea. I love tea. Didn't know it was International Tea
It
Day.
is International Wait Staff Day.
Congratulations.
So be sure to tip your waitress
or waiter.
Yes, correct. American Red Cross Founders Day.
Nice.
Brown Bag It Thursday, the third Thursday in May.
Brown Bag It Thursday. What are you brown bagging exactly? Would you like to elaborate for us? Since you brought it up.
Global Accessibility Awareness Day.
Wow.
It's also the third Thursday in May. I need a patch for that day.
Taco Auctioneer Day.
National Memo Day, so be sure to send out a memo today. National Strawberries and Cream Day.
Wow. Get yourself a frap, dude.
It is also End of the World and Rapture Party Day.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Isn't that every day for most miserable people? What occult is doing that one?
I don't know.
Oh, God. Well, you know what? If I see you tomorrow, we didn't make it, Frank.
Be sure to bring a waiter or waitress and strawberries and cream to your
Rapture.
End of World or Rapture party.
We are never doing this bit ever again. Who knows what kind of weird, evil things.
Incorrect. I say we do this every day.
I don't know if that's a great day.
Please, for the love of it.
I don't know if I like this bit as much as the Trevor Hoffman Day bit.
Oh, no, we'll still do that.
I know. I'm just saying. I don't know if I like this bit as much.
Oh, tomorrow is National Maritime Day.
Sweet. I can't wait. Are you going to pull your sailboat out? Go sailing? You should go to the Maritime Museum then.
Yeah, that'd be nice. National Vanilla Pudding Day. I might participate in that. National Road Trip Day. It is a Friday. We could, off we go.
We're going to road trip it to the Maritime Museum and have vanilla pudding on the boat.
National Musical Instrument Day tomorrow.
While a band plays behind us.
National Craft Distillery Day. I know that's one you'll probably partake in. Coincides perfectly with National Cooler Day.
Wow. You know what? I can see us all doing this on a boat tomorrow.
While we play solitaire on National Solitaire Day.
Tomorrow's National Solitaire
Yes,
Day?
it is.
Any other magical things? And then here comes the super negative, depressing one.
National Bitcoin Pizza Day tomorrow.
Excuse me? What does that even mean?
I guess you
buy pizza with Bitcoin?
I guess so.
What a waste of Bitcoin.
Canadian Immigrants Day tomorrow.
Oh, nice. That's my family.
Heat and Safety Awareness Day is the 4th Friday in May, so that'll be tomorrow.
Okay.
International Biological Diversity Day tomorrow.
Okay.
We love that. It is Harvey Milk Day here in California tomorrow. So happy birthday to Harvey Milk, or happy day you
How
died,
long is this
or
list? There's
whatever.
a lot of stuff going on tomorrow.
World Goth Day tomorrow.
Okay.
I think we're in now. I think we've bought into the bit now.
No, I've not bought into this bit. Apparently, tomorrow is the anniversary of the day that the guy used 10,000 Bitcoin to buy a pizza in New York. You know what? He probably should have kept that 10,000 Bitcoin.
It's also Sherlock Holmes Day tomorrow, too.
Yeah.
So
we're going to go to the Maritime Museum tomorrow with a cooler full of craft beer and pudding. And we're going to sit on the boat.
Vanilla pudding.
Vanilla pudding. We're going to sit on the boat at the Maritime Museum as we take our road trip down there to do our show. And we're going to play solitaire during the breaks as a band with musical instruments performs behind us.
While praising Harvey Milk with a couple of goths, reading Sherlock Holmes.
You can read Sherlock Holmes on here.
Okay, I'm good.
All right. Fair enough.
While purchasing pizza with Bitcoin.
I'm not going to do that.
I'm not going to do that either. But
somebody could do that for us if they want.
Exactly.
All right, fair enough. I'm going to go back to the somebody who's like 2014 playoffs is a bad idea. It's a wonderful idea. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid, dude. Do not eat the propaganda from ESPN. 2014 playoffs the way to go. Let's move on and back to Padres baseball. Okay, shall we? Let's talk about last night's game since we hadn't really had time to talk about that yet. Do you want to start with Randy Vásquez or Jackson Merrill?
Boy, I don't know which one, because both of them kind of happened on the first pitch of the game, too, you know? Randy Vásquez threw it, and Jackson Merrill got hurt on it, so.
All right, let's start with Jackson Merrill. I think this one's going to be a little bit quicker than anything else, because we're not going to get an update on him today, probably at all. We probably won't get an update until tomorrow when the media meets in the clubhouse. But Jackson Merrill left yesterday's game with a leadoff home run by Shohei Ohtani when he crashed into the wall. It adds another layer of anxiety probably to this offense and to this team. Padres obviously can't afford to lose another offensive potential weapon, although Jackson Merrill has not been very good so far this year in terms of his overall offensive numbers. But he appeared to hurt his back trying to rob Ohtani's leadoff homer, which is obviously concerning because Merrill's been one of the lineups. Nice little spark. He brings energy, athleticism, situational hitting the offense badly needs. But with him missing time, with Tatis continuing to struggle, that puts more pressure on Manny and Fernando to be at the top of the order. I think the question is right now, like Ben asked the question on the roundtable of, do you bring somebody up from AAA as a spark? And I think everybody was in agreement of only if Jackson Merrill is on the injured list. To me, if Jackson Merrill gets put on the injured list because he's got missed a significant amount of time, it's a great opportunity for maybe Jace Bowen to come up and have. I don't think there's reason for a move in particular, but we're not going to know more until tomorrow.
The only person I can think of for a spark would be Jace Bowen, and you're going to need to purchase his contract because I don't think he's on the 40.
I don't think he's on the 40 either.
Which means
I can look for it real quick.
Which means you're also going to have to make a roster move. You're going to have to DFA somebody because if you're on the 15-day IL, that doesn't free up a 40-man spot.
Or you put somebody that's on a 15-day IL on the 60, which you could theoretically do. Guess who's still on the 15-day IL? Nick Pivetta.
Oh, yeah.
So you could theoretically put him on 60 if you wanted to, and then you could purchase the contract of Jace Bowen. If
he's the only person, the only person I can remotely think of doing that.
That is if Jackson Merrill's hurt.
Yeah.
And it has to miss time and be put on the injured list, which, by the way, unless it's like severe already and they already know it, then he'll get put at least on the injured list tomorrow. If not, it usually takes him a couple of days to really figure out if they want to do that or not.
And there's also no rush to do it because you're off today. So there's no rush. You're not traveling. You're home. He has time to rest and relax and really feel out what the deal is. So I don't see them making any decision today at all on that.
I mean, it would be like a Jace Bowen or a Samad Taylor. I guess. Neither of them are on the 40-man roster. So, again, it would still have to be the exact same thing we talked about. I would only do it. I also would only make a move like this if Merrill's hurt. I don't think either of those guys is going to be the spark the team needs offensively. A lot of the numbers obviously are a little skewed, but Jace Bowen in AAA, 11 home runs on the year. Great. 29 RBIs. Great. 4 triples, 9 doubles. He's hitting .299 with a 989 OPS. He has the second highest OPS. Highest OPS on the team in terms of at-bats. Victor Duarte has gotten off to a good start for the El Paso Chihuahuas since he has been added as a catcher after they pulled up Rodolfo Duran to the big league club. But that being said, he's got the team leading 48 strikeouts, Jace Bowen does. And if he's striking out that amount down in AAA, who knows what he would do up here in the major leagues. I think it's slightly different. If one of these guys was like a young if one of these players was a year older, maybe 2 years older, Ethan Salas, and he was raking like Jace Bowen was, then yes, I think you could bring him up for a spark if you wanted to. But the fact that you don't have any of those guys in AAA, this would be we're doing this because we need to situation.
Yeah, and again, it's very much like the Mets situation here recently, bringing up AJ Ewing for a spark. I mean, people are hurt, but you also bring up a guy like him for a spark. You don't really have guys in the minor leagues who are just waiting for a spot. Looking through, Ethan Salas in AA right now. Jorge Quintana's in high A. Ty Harvey's in high A. Ryan Weidman's in high A. Cale Fountain's in high A. Or is in A ball. Sorry, not even high A. They're in low A. Braden Carpathios is in double A.
Does he spell his name correctly?
Take a guess.
No.
Exactly. Braedos. Those are your position players in the top 10. And there's 2 that are playing above Lake Elsinore. That's not the kind of kid you're bringing up right away for a spark.
No, I don't think there's anybody on this list. I think it's only injury necessary moves at this point. So that would be the Jace Bowen situation. And he looked really good in spring training. He's looked good right now in El Paso. Strikeout numbers are incredibly high. You'd obviously have to work on that. But to me, the next guy that's coming up for a position player that gets banged up, regardless if it's an infielder or an outfielder, is Jace Bowen.
And he's number 23. He's the only position player that you have on the top 30 prospects, according to the Padres website on MLB.com, that is in AAA. The only other prospect that's in the top 30 that's in AAA is Garrett Hawkins. He's the only other one.
I find it interesting, before we talk about Randy Vásquez, we're going to get to this in noon hour. Tony mentioned it, but already he's starting to hear that a lot of teams are interested in prospects the Padres have. I just wanted to start laughing.
Prospects that they don't have? Because
right.
AJ trades everyone every year?
Right. This happens every year. Every year.
Oops.
It's always, they have nothing to trade. And then when you get to the trade deadline, they have all of these commodities that people want all the time. And it's not like during the offseason they went and added all these players that nobody knew about. It's still the same guys they already had. That's why, when they make these trades, I just go all right, cool. Just keep making the trades. Keep trading away all the prospects that may or may not turn into anything. If they want them, take them. Hey, we want these 3 prospects you've never heard of before. We'll give you a Aroldis Chapman. Cool. Sounds good. Yeah, great. Good luck. Let's go back to last night's game again with Randy Vásquez, the second talking point of this segment. Stat line wasn't pretty yesterday for Randy. Allowed 3 runs in 4 1/3 innings, gave up loud contact all night, recorded 0 strikeouts. On paper, rough. But there's an important nuance that AJ Cassavell put in his reaction or takeaways from the game yesterday. and through the series. And I mean, he prevented the game from being a blowout. He stranded key situations, kept the Padres technically within reach, which has become part of Vásquez's value. Even without dominant stuff, he often limits damage enough to give the Padres a chance. And the problem yesterday was the offense gave him nothing. So I think you could say it wasn't the best outing for Randy Vásquez, on top of the fact that you can also say the guy competed and kept you in the game yesterday, Frank. I mean, you'll take that. And if the Padres scored any type of runs, we're sitting here talking about another potential one-run game that the Padres may have lost, or maybe they were able to overcome. And you never know what would have happened if they were able to, maybe tie the game later on in the game. Randy Vásquez on paper, not great. Randy Vásquez, in terms of a gritty performance, you know what? He keeps giving you what you expect, and that is good outings in which he saves bullpens. And at the worst, which was yesterday when he didn't go deep into a game, he didn't let that thing spiral out of control, and he kept you in it.
No, he was fighting yesterday for sure. He was definitely battling. You could tell when he came off the mound in the fifth inning, he was not happy with his performance at all. Only threw 74 pitches yesterday, so a little bit lower even for what he normally produces. He's usually a guy who gets taken out in around the mid-80s. He got taken out a little bit earlier than that. But yeah, you could tell that he was not entertained by what he was able to do yesterday for the Padres, and he certainly did not have. It was probably one of his worst outings this year for sure.
And it still was good enough for you to win.
To at least have a chance, yeah.
He can't control how many runs you score. He limited the damage as much as possible. I'm not going to chalk that up as a great outing, but I'm going to chalk it up as that guy's giving you everything he's got every single time, even when he doesn't have good stuff. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973, which leads to this next question. Are the Padres asking too much of their pitching staff? They might, because of the fact they're looking for more pitching, and it's not where you think. We'll talk about that later on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego Summer Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. 11:23 on a Thursday afternoon, a beautiful afternoon in America's finest city. We got a nice little weekend coming up. Memorial Day weekend is this weekend. Hope you guys all have a safe and fun Memorial Day weekend. Everybody's got Monday off, or most of you have Monday off. Everybody that is working on Monday, we appreciate you. But Memorial Day, obviously a big day for the ones that we have, the ones that gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country and for all of us to live the wonderful life that we live here in the United States. We thank, obviously, all of the military personnel. They're more of a Veterans Day thing for the veterans, but Monday is for a day for everybody that has given their life for the betterment of our lives and for the betterment of our country, and give the ultimate sacrifice, a true honor. And really, you know, it's a day to remember those people that have done that, and for their families that have lost loved ones for the sake of us being able to live the life that we live. And we thank those families, and think about those members of the military that have lost their lives. And that's what this weekend is for, what this weekend is about. So remember that as you're barbecuing and enjoying the day off, that we are able to do these things because of the sacrifices that other people sign up to do, and sign up to defend our freedoms and defend and protect us each and every day. We're talking Padres baseball here on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. In the 1 o'clock hour, we're going to transition a little soccer talk for you. CJ Dos Santos, the goaltender for San Diego FC, will join us. These fun little giveaway soccer balls for their upcoming match this weekend, right?
Yep, on Saturday against the Vancouver Whitecaps.
On this Saturday, CJ Dos Santos just got added to the Cape Verde World Cup team. So that's great news for him. We'll talk about that with him and his journey to being a goalkeeper in the MLS in the 1 o'clock hour. Bob Scanlan will join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better at 1:35. Want to continue our conversation. Do want to get to your phone calls today as well. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Mark in Tirasana. Mark, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Braden? How are you?
I'm doing well, man. What do you got for us today?
I'm good. Hey, Braden, how long have you been on the air by yourself now?
Just over a year now by myself. I mean, I used to do the Sunday show, so if you count that, it'd be 2 years. But the every single day grind, just over a year in March, and with Frank, just over a year. What, like a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, May 5th.
That's good. Awesome. Hey, Braden, you know what? You need to lose that intro. It's kind of lame now. You've been around for a while.
We have a new one in the works.
It's funny you bring that up.
Right,
we got the new script for it, and somebody needs to make it, and we're working on it, Mark.
Relax. I know.
So that's all I'm asking. But anyway, good. I'm hoping you guys do that anyway. Hey, went to the Dodger game the other night. $122 to pay for my face value for a ticket. Can you believe that?
You sold your ticket for $122?
I'm a season ticket holder. Here's our 122 for the Dodger game. 122. A's game is 78 Saturday night. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, how much they go up for the price of admission?
Well, as you know, you can go see the Rockies for $56 on a Tuesday. You go see the A's on 78. You go see the Dodgers for 122. And I heard the guy from Tirasana saying something about, free drinks and that, and they just they're just gouging you for stuff like that. You're paying that kind of money. But anyway, just wanted to throw that out there.
I appreciate the phone call, Mark. I mean, the reality is stuff is priced for what people are willing to pay. And you know what? People are willing to pay more money for games against bigger teams and games against the Rockies and stuff. It all fluctuates. I mean, that's what all the prices are around Major League Baseball. I don't mind paying a little bit more to get some better players on the team sometimes.
It's certainly one way to interpret that phone call.
Yeah, I mean, he said he sold. Did he say he was buying? Well, I know they like the prices when you buy season tickets. Like some games are like less. Like when you get the package, they show like they're less and you're paying more for like the bigger games.
Yeah.
I think that's for the value for when you do your trades and stuff like that. Maybe that's what he's talking about. Did he say he sold his tickets? Or he just said that's what they were paying for? I was a little confused on what he was talking about.
But that's, I mean, I've always, it's for the years that I went to games, it always depended on who's in town. It was the same, not just for the ticket to get in, but for
parking too.
Parking prices. It all depends on who's in town. Like if you're playing the Marlins, who are 20 games under 500, then it was basically free to walk in there.
How about this too? This was like, oh my God, what year was this? I mean, this had to be, I'll tell you what year it was because I remember the exact game I went to. Way back when. I'm going to look it up right now because I was at this game and it was wild that I was at this game when it happened. So this is back in 2010. That was 16 years ago. Back in 2010, it was around Memorial Day weekend. It was this weekend in 2010, May 29th. I am up in Anaheim because at that time, like my sister was doing dance competitions and stuff like that. Okay, she did dance as a kid, played softballs, other stuff, and around Memorial Day weekend, they had this dance competition called Showstoppers, and it was at Disneyland. And so, like, going to dance competitions to support your sister when you're a kid is not necessarily what you want to do on the weekends. But when you're a kid and it's at Disneyland, you're like, oh, cool, yeah, I'll do this one. So a lot of the time it was like going to the dance, like we had to, it came to a point where my mom was like, okay, as long as you watch your sister dance, I don't care what you do throughout the day. So we'd get the schedule of when Sid was supposed to dance, and then we'd go to Disneyland or do some other things. A lot of the time when you're there for like 4 or 5 days in a row, you kind of get, you need a break from Disneyland. So I had never been to an Angels game and I wanted to go. And so my dad took me and my brother to the Angels game on May 29th, 2010. I was around like just I think my freshman year of high school, freshman or sophomore year of high school. No, it's my freshman year of high school at that point. And I remember we went in the morning to get tickets. This is back when you would still get tickets like at the venue. Like you couldn't necessarily get it too much online. So we drove in the morning to Angel Stadium and got tickets. And I remember while he was buying the tickets, I was looking at the ticket prices, and they had tickets they had regular season tickets, right? And then they had the price chart. And the Padres used to never do this, but the Angels were doing this. They had Yankees and Red Sox were more expensive than all the other games. And then they had a couple like Dodgers, more expensive than all the other games. And I think they had another interleague on there that they thought was like a prime game. It was like the Atlanta Braves was more expensive than all the other games. And it was the pricing on the tickets because, that supply and demand. More people want to watch the Yankees play, right? More people want to watch the Dodgers play. More people want to watch the Red Sox play than probably at that time the Texas Rangers or whoever. Do you know the significance of that game on May 29th, 2010 between the Angels and the Mariners?
I looked it up. I saw what happened at the end, and I saw who hit what, and I knew exactly what game it was. It was the game where Kendrys Morales hits the walk-off grand slam in the 10th and then breaks his leg jumping on home plate.
Absolutely. That was the significance of that game. That's why I know what day. I put that on my ballpark app because you can put all your old games on there you've been to. It'll calculate how many ballparks you've been to and everything. So the other, me being a nerd, the other day I was putting in all these old games I went to. There was a game in 2004 when we were doing a trip up the coast of California. Speaking of road trips, coast up to California. That was like right before I was going into fourth grade when you do like the mission projects. We're hitting up missions, doing a lot of stuff with San Francisco. And I watched the Giants play the Reds. My mom almost got hit on the noggin by a splash home run as it went flying past her. Right, but no idea it's happening. She's just walking across that like bridge thing up in right field. She walks past, ball flies right behind her head into the water for a splash home run.
Jeez.
Totally missed her. That was back in 04, Reds Giants. But
I'm looking at this lineup.
This game, you're watching the game. It's going to extras. We're getting closer to when my sister has to dance. We have to drive back over to the Disneyland Hotel. And so, my brother and I want to see the end of the game. My dad's like, this is the last inning. Like, we have to leave. As soon as Kendris hits the ball, we start walking out. We know the ball's gone. And as we're walking across the concourse to get to the parking lot, we noticed that they all stopped celebrating. There was they just stopped and we're like, what's going on? It's kind of weird. And then we saw a cart coming out. I'm like, that's weird. I don't know what's going on. We get back to the Disneyland Hotel. And one of our friends who was there, and his daughter was my age, but he was there. He was there for the competition too. Mike Whalen. He said, "Did you see what happened in the Mariners Angels game?"
Yeah,
and we were like, we were there, like the walk-off grand slam. They're like, "Did you see what happened at the end?" We're like, "No." He's like, "That guy, Kendris Morales, broke his leg when he landed on the plate." At the end, we're like, what? And it was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. They all kind of stopped celebrating when we were walking out.
What a lineup, too. I'm looking at some of these names. Eric Ibar, Macier Torres, Bobby Abreu, Torrey Hunter, Kendris Morales.
Sean Figgins on that team?
He wasn't playing that day, at least. I have zero recollection of Hideki Matsui being an Angel.
I remember that.
Howie Kendrick, something Ryan, something Wilson. Jared Weaver threw 7 innings of 3-hit ball, followed by K-Rod, who threw 2 innings of 1-hit ball, struck out 2.
What a day. May 29th, 2010.
Those are some names.
We got to take a quick break. When we come back, John and Carlsbad, we'll get to your phone call. We're going to get to the sports thread. We'll talk about the Padres offense in just a little bit as we continue on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Summer Sports Station 97 through the Fan. 11:41 on a Thursday. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Baking, it's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We're going to get you ready for the sports thread in just a second, but do want to get back to your phone calls. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to John in Carlsbad. John, we appreciate you waiting on hold, man. I know you had to do that through a couple of breaks. Thanks again for doing that. And what do you got for us today?
Hey, Braden. Hey, Frank. So I don't have as many years as Tom does in San Diego, but I'm 58 years old, born and raised in San Diego, and I've watched probably at least 95% of the Padres games since I've been a fan, and my whole life. This era of this team that we have now, we definitely should enjoy. I agree with Tom 100%. And I want to make a couple of points here real quick. Number one is this last series against the Dodgers. I mean, we won the first game with a 1-0 shutout against the Dodgers, which is really, really, that was a well-played game. That's really hard to do against a team like that. The second game, if Mason Miller doesn't throw that pitch away, we're going into extra innings. We had a chance to win that game. So it's not as bad as like the sky is falling with this last series. The Dodgers didn't come in and sweep us. So having said that, I like what Stammen has done up to this point. I like his energy. I like his demeanor in the dugout. I think he's doing a good job. I give him a solid A, not an A+. With the movement around of all the position players and stuff like that, I think he's making one huge mistake, and only one. And that is that Ty France needs to be the starting everyday first baseman. He's one of the best bats in the lineup. He's a scrappy player. He's one of the best defenders that we have on the team. And I don't think that Gavin Sheets, even though he has the hot bat right now, and I love Gavin, and he's come through. I mean, with these walk-offs, it's actually unbelievable. I can't even believe it myself. But he needs to be a DH, and Gavin should not be starting in lieu of Ty France at first base. I think Stammen is making a huge mistake by not starting Ty France every single day at first. I mean, take last night, for example, when the bases were loaded and Fernando came up. What if Ty France would have came up in that situation and hit a home run or grand slam or hit a double into the gap and we tie the game? That changes the game big time, you know? And so, you know, those are the points I wanted to make. Overall, I'm really, really happy with where the Padres are at.
Yeah, I appreciate the phone call, John. I'm happy where the Padres are at as well. You know, I just think right now with Andujar, Sheets, and France, I don't think as much as you want to get those guys in the lineup, I don't know if you can make one of them an everyday starter over the others at this point. You know, I think Ty France deserves a lot of playing time, obviously. But I still like the way that they're mixing things up a little bit with the roster. And the thing is, if he becomes the everyday first baseman, then, you know, that means Andujar and Sheets have to basically trade off at DH and then maybe put someone, and then, you know, one of those guys is going to have to play in the outfield. I don't see Andujar getting a lot of reps in terms of like playing in the field too much. And with that situation, that's a lot more Fernando playing second base, right? Like you need Sheets in the lineup right now. And I would say you need him in the lineup more than you need Ty France as an everyday first baseman. But you know what? We'll see how the season plays out. Maybe down the road, that is what you're going to get with a guy like Ty France. That's kind of my takeaway on it. I mean, if you're going to have Ty France play every day at first base, Frank, I think that means you got Fernando playing second base almost every day because you got to get those other bats in the lineup.
Yeah. No, I don't. You need to play both, especially Gavin Sheets' bat has been so good. France playing at first base, it's really the only other place you can play him. Andujar has been really good. You got to find a place to put him. Then, of course, Nick Castellanos has been turning it around. You got to find a place to put him. So, yeah, I think as much as you want to see certain guys out there more in order to keep everyone engaged and ready to go when it's their turn to get called on, you got to be shuffling these guys around.
I think so too. I think in a perfect world, it would be nice to have like your designated starters. I think that's what makes this team really good. But you know, maybe John's got a point in maybe playing a little bit more Ty France at first base. We'll see in the next couple of weeks or so. Let's get out to PJ in San Diego. PJ, what's going on?
Hi, I got kind of something that probably ought to be off the air before I get to say anything on it. Can we do that?
Yeah, that's fine. We'll put you on hold, PJ. Appreciate it. All right, let's get to the sports thread while we have a chance.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what we got going on today?
We have an honorable mention that just came down, as a matter of fact. Petco Park, as the Padres just announced 20 minutes ago.
Oh, I saw that.
Just became the Sports Business Journal's not just baseball stadium of the year. They are the Sports Business Journal's sports facility of the year. Sports Business Journal saying Petco Park drew a franchise record 3.4 million fans with 72 sellouts, Padre games, and a packed calendar of major events, while renovations and new spaces drove record merch sales and premium group experiences. So congratulations to the Padres on that.
Congratulations to San Diego, too.
Exactly right.
Is that surprising to anybody? Oh, it might be surprising since we're not a sports town, right? We don't support our sports teams. That's why they leave, because we don't support them.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Yep.
Is that how it works?
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
Number 1.
More San Diego sports news.
I love it.
Coming out here. We love this. Yesterday, in a couple of tweets, we're going to read the tweets directly here from Brett Murphy. Brett McMurphy, sorry. The Poinsettia Bowl is finalizing a deal to pit the new ACC champion, if it does not qualify for the playoffs, versus a Pac-12 legacy team in 2026. Sources told
the
On
new
3.
Pac versus the old Pac.
Yes. Pac-12 legacy teams are former Pac-12 members Arizona, Arizona State, Cal, Colorado, Oregon, Stanford, UCLA, USC, Utah, and Washington. The Poinsettia Bowl, it's just a retweet of that. So basically, if the Pac-12 does not make, the current Pac-12 does not make the college football playoff, they will play a legacy Pac-12 team in what will be called the Poinsettia Bowl. So the Poinsettia Bowl does make a return. It'll be new gen Pac-12 versus legacy Pac-12.
Interesting. That's almost like the old LA Bowl, which was the Mountain West champ versus a Pac-12 team, which turned into the Las Vegas Bowl. That's essentially what that is. I mean, good for, I think it's going to be a fun matchup. It's great to have any type of champion come here to San Diego, especially since we have 2 bowl games back potentially again, which is awesome. But you could have some interesting matchups with that. You know, redo the Apple Cup, Washington State here, right? Oregon State, highly doubt it. But that's also opens up the door for San Diego State if they win the conference. They get to play here in San Diego, potentially, if they don't make the playoff. That seems like a win-win. Going against a former Pac-12 member should be a fun little bowl game here in San Diego.
Absolutely.
Number 2.
Do you want to go to Louisiana or Texas for this next one?
Yeah, of course. She's from Texas. She's from Texas. I could tell.
Brendan Sorsby's eligibility battle with the NCAA took another turn on Wednesday after a Texas judge who was originally assigned to the case recused himself because of his ties to Texas Tech. Sorsby is seeking an injunction to play this season after admitting he placed bets on Indiana football games during his freshman year, including wagers involving his own team, which is one of the NCAA's most serious gambling violations. Sorsby argues that the NCAA is being hypocritical given its partnership with sports betting-related companies, while also revealing he recently entered a treatment for gambling addiction. With a reported multi-million-dollar NIL deal and NFL future possibly at stake, the case could become another major flashpoint in the evolving relationship between college athletics, gambling, and players' rights. Personally, good on by this judge not doing the Ole Miss thing with Chambliss.
I agree.
Great job.
He was born and raised in Lubbock, Texas. He went to Texas Tech University. I mean, obviously he has deep ties to Texas Tech. He can't be organized. He can't be the one deciding whether or not Sorsby can play in the fall. So I think that's a step in the right direction. I don't think if you're going to let Sorsby do this and then go and play, I don't know why you have any betting rules against your players betting on anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that opens the door for throwing games, and that opens the door for more scandals and problems. You have to make an example of this kid. Now, the bigger question is, since the NCAA does not have any enforceable rules, if he is eligible to play in the fall, there's no rules to punish any players for anything. You can literally fight any type of ineligibility in the court of law. It's stupid. This whole situation is stupid. How about, I don't know, Brandon, maybe don't bet on sports if you're a college athlete or a pro athlete. How many lessons do you have to learn? How many lessons that had to be displayed on why it's not probably intelligent to do that?
I have no idea, man. It's ridiculous.
Number 3.
Coming straight from the file of what could possibly go wrong here, LSU is bringing back national championship winning coach Ed Orgeron as a special assistant to recruiting and defense, reuniting him with longtime friend and Tigers current head coach Lane Kiffin. Orgeron, who led LSU to the legendary 15-0 national title season in 2019 behind Joe Burrow and a loaded roster of future NFL stars, has long been considered one of college football's elite recruiters. With new NCAA recruiting rules allowing more staffers on the road, LSU is hoping Orgeron's Louisiana ties, SEC reputation, and recruiting track record can keep the Tigers at the top of the national talent race. Is bringing back Ed Orgeron a brilliant recruiting move for LSU, or does returning former coaches too often keep programs stuck in the past instead of building something new?
I think it's a great idea. You want to know why? Well, it's a great idea and a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea for like just campus lifestyle with those two on campus. It's a great idea for the sense that Ed Orgeron recruited some pretty good teams at every place that he has been. At USC, at LSU. I mean, you go down the list. He won a national championship at LSU. He didn't win a national championship at LSU because the X's and O's of Ed Orgeron. Oh, no. Coach O wins national championships because he knows how to recruit. Oh, and by the way, guess what you can do now? You can actually pay players in the open. You got 2 really good recruiters at LSU. Look out.
Another positive spin that we can put on this right now.
Oh, boy.
Is that we now have the Go Tigers drop.
Yeah, we can put it back.
We absolutely, 100%.
He's back. It's great for college football.
Last one that I had that was really relevant. Aaron Rodgers announcing that next year will be his last.
Sure, buddy. Sure, Brett Favre. I really wanted him to play for the Vikings just to complete the prophecy. I really did. Need lunchtime hour when we come back. Padres looking at trades already. Where are they looking? You'd be surprised.
beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
Noon lunchtime hour on the Fan. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Had some news come down today. We had a lot of San Diego sports news today that we didn't even fit it all in the sports thread.
Well, Sports Thread's not meant for San Diego sports news, sir. It's for other sports and other news.
It's for like non-Padre stuff. But there was so much of it, we couldn't fit it all. The Players Era Festival has announced the tournament bracket for college basketball in November.
Okay.
San Diego State is playing in this tournament. This is one of those deals where, like, if you're in it, you're going to stay in it, which I think they should be staying in it as long as possible, because when you play in this tournament, the more you win, the more money you make for NIL. Sounds like a tournament you want to be in. Does it not?
Yeah, I would consider wanting to play in that. Yeah.
So there's two Players Era Festival tournaments. There's the 8-team tournament that will be November 17th through the 19th. And that's an 8-team tournament. That's the Players Era 8. And then they have the Players Era 16, which is a week later, and that will be November 24th through November 28th. I think you have 3 games guaranteed, if I'm not mistaken. On the winning side of things, it's a single elimination tournament, but they still keep seeding you different games in order to get like 3 games out of it for a multi-team event, an MTE, Frank, as the cool college kids call it. We're playing in MTEs.
Hell yeah.
Anyway. Aztecs got their bracket. The Players Era 8, which will start on November 17th. That has Florida playing Notre Dame, Houston playing Rutgers on one side of the bracket, Kansas and UNLV, West Virginia and Auburn on the other side. That bracket will be done before the Players Era 16, obviously the next week. San Diego State will open up the Players Era Festival with Iowa State on November 24th. It's a pretty good non-league game, wouldn't you say? Iowa State was pretty good last year out of the Big 12 Conference. They are paired with the other matchup of Tennessee and Maryland. And on their side of the bracket for the Aztecs, St. John's, Oregon, Louisville, Texas Tech. That's the 8 teams on San Diego State's side of the bracket. On the other side, you have Gonzaga opening up with Kansas State. You have Baylor playing Alabama. Michigan takes on Creighton, and TCU plays Miami. All of those games in the first round will happen on November 24th. Semifinals, or quarterfinals, if you will happen on November 26th. Semifinals on November 27th. Championship game on November 28th. There's consolation games all mixed in and around that tournament. But should be a fun tournament and a great opportunity for San Diego State basketball, who we haven't talked too much about. They got a couple of Italians on their team. Man, you see that?
Yes,
they went and got a couple of Italians in the portal.
They went
from
right
Italy.
to the Italian Pro League.
Nice.
Yes.
Looking forward to that. Can't wait for the show, what the show's got for the Italians. If they start struggling, is Brian Dutcher going to pull a kicking and screaming? Where are my Italians?
I think the bigger question is, I think the one that everyone's asking, especially now that they've got 2 Italians on the roster, are you allowed to bring a gallon bag of spaghetti into Viejas Arena?
They have to allow that at this point. You would think.
You kind of have to now.
Kind of have to. All right, that's the Players Era Festival. That was the other news. Some other news that we got today that involved the Padres. We'll talk more about what happened over the Dodgers series later on the show for those that missed it in the first couple of hours. But did you see the news from Dennis Lin today.
Yes.
About the Padres and the trade market.
Mm-hmm.
Already, this is where you start hearing some of this, right? This is where you start hearing some of the rumors out there about the Padres or about, trade deadlines. Who's looking at who? What are they looking for? Well, some interesting conversation here with the way that this series played out for the Padres, what the bullpen is, and what the Padres are looking for at the trade deadline, at least according to rumors. When you look at this team and you look at the bullpen, and obviously, what's the one thing about the bullpen right now? Yes, they're very good, but also it is being used a lot. So as the Padres are navigating a high-stakes balancing act with their bullpen and more specifically star closer Mason Miller, one of baseball's most dominant and valuable relief arms, they are also starting to look for maybe some relief help. Mason Miller got off to a blistering start to the 2026 season. He absorbed his first loss of the year on Tuesday night, throwing his 98th pitch of the week in a 5-4 defeat to the Dodgers. That was 2 days ago. Manager Craig Stammen and pitching coach Ruben Niebla are increasingly cautious about overusing him in a season filled with close games, emphasizing long-term health and sustainability over short-term wins. Miller has been electric early, averaging 101.3 miles an hour on his fastball, but showed signs of fatigue on Tuesday. 6 walks, or really in the last couple of outings, 6 walks in his last 5 appearances, and his first career error on Tuesday. He has had a history of arm issues, sprained UCL in 2023 with the Athletics, but has stayed healthy since. And the Padres sit at 29-20, largely thanks to a strong bullpen, but ranked near the bottom of the league in offense and have patchwork starting pitching. So based on everything that I just explained, the bullpen's badass, the offense is struggling, and the starting rotation is kind of been pieced together. What would you think would be a target for the Padres at the trade deadline?
Starting rotation.
And?
Offense.
Maybe a bat. Now, that's not necessarily the case. With August 3rd coming sooner, even though it still seems far away, the Padres are quietly exploring the market for additional relief help to ease the workload of Miller and the high leverage group of Jason Adam, Adrian Morejon, and Jeremiah Estrada. This is notable because the team's more glaring needs are in starting pitching and offense, but relief arms are cheaper and easier to acquire. President of Baseball Operations, AJ Preller, has a proven history of aggressive bullpen investments. Josh Hader in 2022, Jason Adam, Tanner Scott in 2024. He acquired Mason Miller last year by giving up top prospect Leo DeVries. Interesting. Who are some of the targets? Well, Dennis Lin lays out that some of the targets are Aroldis Chapman. 38 years old, 0.51 ERA for Chapman this year. He's got 12 saves for the Boston Red Sox, still throwing triple digits at his age, making $13 million with a mutual option for 2027. And in the article by Dennis Lin, the Padres, it says that the Padres have long had interest in Aroldis Chapman. That's interesting to me. The other potential target, former Padre Josh Hader. 6-time All-Star. He's on a 5-year, $95 million deal, has a full no-trade protection, currently rehabbing from bicep tendonitis, but the Astros' poor 20-31 record could make him available at the deadline. Before we dive into the ownership angle that was laid out in this article or some other news and notes for you, this is a very interesting article that, one, I was not expecting today, and two, wasn't really expecting at all that the Padres would be interested in getting more bullpen help. Can the Padres make a run at the playoffs with their current starting rotation and add 2 elite closers or maybe 1 elite closer that would be a setup guy? Interesting path and interesting philosophy, but we talked about it last year. Mason Miller was a pickup that was great. Everybody loves it now, but that bullpen was legit last year without Mason Miller. Mm-hmm. This bullpen, according to Eno Saris, is even better than it was last year. Is on pace to be an all-time best bullpen. Yet they're still looking at guys like Josh Hader and Aroldis Chapman. Is that the key to success? I don't necessarily know if it is, but that's an interesting article today, Frank.
I would be more interested in Aroldis Chapman, mainly because he's not locked down. I would be looking more at Aroldis Chapman, who's going to be here for a shorter term time, which means also you're most likely going to have to give up less. I think ID Bunny in the chat just said, Hader's awful contract and Yordan Alvarez. Let's go. Who do you think? Give you one guess. Who do you think is going to be going in that trade?
In a Josh Hader, Yordan Alvarez trade?
Yep. Who's the
Ethan
one guy?
Salas for sure.
Exactly. Ethan Salas is going to be gone in that trade immediately.
I haven't looked at the Astros too much in terms of being a trade partner just because they've always been good, so there's been no reason for it. So I haven't looked at like the numbers of the contracts, but that is a high level asking price, I would think, for a guy. But it's $19 million a year for the next 3 years. I guess at this point for Hader, it'd be a little bit less for this year. He still counts towards $19 million towards the luxury tax. You would have him for 2 more years. At that point, he's coming back here. Would he be able? Is he going to pitch if you tell him to pitch? I mean, the way things ended with Hader here in San Diego, I don't necessarily know he would approve a trade back to the Padres.
And Aroldis Chapman is on a 1-year, $13 million deal. So if you get him at the trade deadline, he's going to cost you what, 5 or 6 for the rest of this year. I would
Chapman?
be, yeah, I would
it's
be
basically like a third of whatever he's making.
Yeah, so of $4 million, even better. Yeah, I would take Aroldis Chapman over Josh Hader in a heartbeat.
I mean, let's look at it this. You could look at it this way too. You know, are you Jason Adams a free agent at the end of the year? I mean, maybe you want to solidify your bullpen for the next couple of years. You know, maybe you believe that Josh Hader at age 32 is going to be a better option than an aging Jason Adams. I mean, Wandy Peralta is aging. Yuki Matsui is aging in that bullpen. You know, so not Yuki Matsui, but Wandy Peralta is, Jason Adams is. They're getting up there in years. If you want to go a little bit younger, I don't necessarily know, Frank, if you would have to give up Salas with the fact that you have to take on, like, Yordan Alvarez is making $26.8 million a year for the next 3 years, and Josh Hader's making $19 million a year for the next couple of years. They're both free agents in 2029. I mean, that's a lot of money that if you're the Astros, you're trying to just unload if you are thinking about rebuilding. And, you know, I don't know how many teams are willing to take on all of that money for those players. I mean, maybe they do, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be an Ethan Salas to get those guys. If you eat some of the money, yeah, they're trying to eat some of the money. But I agree with you. I just, if you're going to improve the bullpen, it's probably going to be a lot cheaper to acquire Aroldis Chapman, and you would be able to then maybe go to other areas of need at the trade deadline than just the bullpen. I thought it was interesting that that's like the talking point was, I thought for sure the first time that we saw a trade article, it would have been, oh, they're looking at this second baseman, or, oh, like this guy's on a 1-year deal and he's doing really well. They're looking for a depth piece, or maybe another start of the rotation. I thought for sure the one thing that you would never have to go for is a bullpen arm. And if you did, I wasn't expecting it to be 2 closers in the American League.
And what have we learned? If nothing else, about AJ Preller, he does whatever he thinks is right. Doesn't have to be logical. He just does whatever he thinks is right. And he has built this bullpen to be one of the nastiest bullpens in the history of this game. It makes sense that he would want to add to it, even though there are other needs. May think, okay, starting pitching market's too high, just roll with what we have, and the first sign of trouble, we're going to this ungodly bullpen to close games out. That could be his thought.
I mean, you look at the bullpen for the Padres, you had a guy like Aroldis Chapman. It would be make it even more legit. I mean, and again, that would be a situation. Miller's the ninth inning guy, and all of a sudden you got another high throwing velocity pitcher in the back end that would be your setup man, and that bumps everybody down another spot. Now you can potentially bring Adrian Morejon into a game in the 6th inning to face a bunch of lefties.
Yeah.
Who also throws 100 miles an hour. I mean, I look at Aroldis Chapman and the fact that he has had, I mean, he's pitched really well for the Red Sox this year. And what is he have a vesting? He's got a vesting option for 2027, which he has to hit like a threshold. And stuff like that.
Option vest with 40 plus innings pitched plus a past physical.
Does that mean that automatically opts into that, or does he get to pick? I don't remember.
I believe it means he gets to choose. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe that option becomes available. I believe that option becomes available if he hits 40 innings pitch plus a past physical. So he has to meet the 2 criteria in order for the ability for that option to be picked up. Or to open up to him.
It says the clause guarantees a $13 million salary for 2027 if he pitches at least 40 innings and passes a postseason physical. I don't think he gets to choose. Okay. Maybe. If he fails to reach 40 innings, the 2027 season becomes a $300,000 buyout unless both parties mutually agree to exercise the $13 million option.
Okay, so from what it sounds like is he has the option. If the 2 criteria are met, he's on the team next year. If one or both of the criteria are not met, then there's a mutual option. Or the team.
Yes, it turns into a mutual
to buy out.
Yeah, they could either buy out, which they probably would at that point, and he goes away, or it's a mutual option, which never happens.
Correct.
So theoretically, I mean, what's he at right now, innings wise?
Let's take a look.
That's not a bad idea if you're the Red Sox, right? Trying to do that with Aroldis Chapman.
Aroldis is at 17 2/3 innings this year, so he's almost halfway there.
He's almost halfway there as long as he stays healthy. I can't believe at his age he's still throwing over 100 miles an hour, except for the fact that he's very large.
He's 38.
Yeah, he's 38 years old. Still out there swinging.
Jeez. He's 0-1 this year with an 0.51 ERA.
Yeah, I said his ERA. I mean, it's remarkable.
His expected ERA though is 3.43.
We don't like expected numbers if they're negative. We only like the expected numbers when it's talking about Fernando getting out of his hitting slump. 11.7 Ks per 9, 3.5 walks per 9. Yeah, I need money in the YouTube chat. If that guy was a Padre, he'd probably blow past that threshold before the All-Star game the way we use bullpen arms.
93.8% left on base.
He's been really good for the Red Sox.
A 39% ground ball rate.
The only time he did not look good was against the Padres. Is that his loss?
I don't know. I don't have his.
That might be his loss. I was at the game because remember, Fernando hit the double off of him. And then they were able to score, and then they shut it down with Miller. And then I think that might be his only loss of the year.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
It is. He's been dominant all. I'll put it this way. He's allowed 1 earned run all year. Do you know when it was?
I'm trying to.
Against the Padres.
I'm trying to learn how to use Fangraphs because you know me, I like Spotrac. I can't find his game logs in here.
I'm on Baseball Reference. This season,
game charts. There we go.
This season, Aroldis Chapman has allowed 8 hits all year. He's only allowed 2 hits in a game twice, and one of them was against the Padres. His worst outing of the entire year was against the Padres.
Game charts. There we go. Game logs.
So you factor that game out, this guy's ridiculous. This is his number since the Padres game, okay, which was his 4th outing of the year.
Mm-hmm.
His 2nd,
3rd, and 4th because he pitched the night before too.
Since his 4th outing of the year which was the one against the Padres. The Red Sox are 11-3 in those 14 outings. He has gone 13 2/3 innings, 10 saves, 6 hits, no earned runs, 6 walks, 20 strikeouts. A 1.72 fielding independent pitching.
Is that good?
Yeah, he's on his own scoreless streak right now. He's up to what did I say? 13 something innings. I mean, he's got 20 something more innings to go to get up to Mason Miller level. But could you imagine adding him at the deadline? I mean, it would go to the question of, can you win with an elite bullpen and a so-so starting rotation?
And by the way,
but that's what we're going to talk about when we come back, because we do have to take a break.
Yes, his expected ERA is high because of that Padre game, the one that he lost. And a couple of outings later against Detroit, he had an expected ERA of 14.9 after he faced 5 batters, gave up 2 hits, and walked 1. That's why his expected ERA is so high.
Can the Padres make those moves at the deadline and feel confident enough to win? We'll talk about it when we come back. 12:26. Cruising through on a Thursday. Padres off day. Lost 2 out of 3 to LA. Try to bounce back this weekend against the Athletics. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973 if you want to join the show today. Coming up in the next hour, we have a couple of guests. We have CJ Dos Santos, the goalkeeper for San Diego FC, will join us to start the 1 o'clock hour. We have Bob Scanlan joining us, as he does on every Thursday when we can, obviously with the Padres not playing. He will finish up the hour with a 1:30. 5, we'll talk about this past week for the Padres in terms of what he has seen. So the 1 o'clock hour will be a fun little hour for us, lead you into tomorrow's show. We'll get you ready for the 3-day weekend. Everybody enjoy their Memorial Day weekend. Everybody have a safe Memorial Day weekend, and we will talk to you again on Monday on Tuesday. We'll have Monday off. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Scout to John in La Jolla. John, what's going on, man?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. And I don't think that this discussion is not worth having, but I just wanted to point out, maybe Dennis Lin does in the article, and that's my bad for not reading it before getting on the air. But it's interesting to talk about beefing up the bullpen with either of those guys. I much prefer Chapman over Hader for reasons you guys have covered. But I just wanted to point out that the American League is really bad this year, and neither of those teams is that far back in the wild card, particularly the Red Sox. So it's a little premature to talk about those teams wanting to get rid of those guys.
Well, those are just the rumors that he had heard, that the Padres were interested in those players at this point in time. I will say this. I think you're going to see more of a balancing act happen in the American League. And I keep going to the Jeff Passan article from a couple of weeks ago. Do you remember that article, Frank, that we talked about with the American League?
Yes.
And he stated, what did he mention about how the season started last year and how it finished? Do you remember off the top of your head?
No, I do not remember off the top of my head, no.
He said that the National League last year jumped out to just as great of a start in terms of their teams being a lot better than the others in the American League, and they were beaten up on the American League teams. By the end of the season, the American League had more wins against the National League at the end of the season. So I think it's going to start to balance itself out. I mean, you're seeing teams like the Guardians now are 7 games above 500. The White Sox have now jumped over 500. You have the 2 top teams in the American League East that are pulling away and going above 500. We'll see what happens in the American League West right now, but I think you're going to start seeing some teams rise to the top. And I'm curious to see how the Tigers put things together, because they look like a really good team that first weekend here against the Padres, and they had a lot of guys go down in terms of their starting pitching. I don't necessarily know if they're going to remain 10 games under 500 throughout the remainder of the season. I think they're going to start coming back to life a little bit when they add a little bit more. And here's the other thing too. I don't know, can you safely say the Red Sox are going to go for it at the deadline when they fired their entire coaching staff a month ago? I don't think they. I mean, at that point, they've already made the decision that they're not really trying to make anything happen. But at the same time, you can kind of do what the Tigers did a couple of years ago, where they traded away pieces and still were able to make the playoffs. I mean, it's all relative. There are some trades that could be made where you trade from a strength to improve a need. I don't necessarily know if that's the case for the Red Sox, but for Boston, I mean, they're 11 and a half games out of first place. I know they're 2 games out of a wild card spot right now, but I just don't see the Red Sox at the deadline going like, you know what? We're not going to trade anybody. We're going to go for it, especially for a guy like Aroldis Chapman that's relatively on a 1-year deal.
Yeah, no, I don't see. I see Boston being big sellers at the trade deadline. I do not see them being one of those teams that's going to be consistently compete. That's going to be one of those teams that turns it around. They've got too many problems, not just on the field, but within the organization as well. They have no idea what direction they're going. They've got a lot of people hurt. They don't really have anyone to bring up to replace them either. I see the Red Sox being one of those teams that are going to sell big at the deadline.
And I think the Astros are right there too. The Astros are 6 games out of first, which seems obtainable, and they're 5 games out of a wild card. You got to start looking like when you see numbers like that. Initially, you're like, "Oh, 5 games, that's like a week." But the reality is, with everybody like winning and losing series, because you're not going to go on a 5-game stretch and then the team in front of you is going to lose 5 straight. It's you gain games by winning series and then losing series. So in order for the Astros to play their way into a wild card spot right now, they have to win 5 series in a row. And whoever they're chasing right now in the wild card, which I think is the Rangers, they got to lose 5 series in a row. So again, like there's a lot of that's involved with the math, if you will, on making up ground. And yeah, you look at the number of games back, that's one thing, but then you got to start looking at the number of teams in front of you, because you got to pass all those teams, which means all those teams need to have bad stretches while you put together a good stretch. And the Astros right now are second to last in the entire American League, 11 games under 500. I don't see a situation based on the way they've played or the Red Sox have played that they're turning things around anytime soon.
No, I don't see a scenario. And from what I'm seeing a lot of people bringing his name up in the chat. Tarek Skubal, we're watching his Detroit Tigers losing to the Guardians right now. Skubal's on his way back. He threw a bullpen, I believe, either earlier today or yesterday, through 37 pitches. And from what he said, he reached his velo goal. Don't know what that velo goal was, but he is already on his way back. And Blake Snell is having that same surgery. I think there's another pitcher now that's having that same exact surgery that Skubal did, which really accelerated his timeline. So there's a chance that if Skubal comes back soon enough, the Tigers are 4-14 in the month of May. If they can turn that around and get that ship righted with enough time to spare, there's a chance the Tigers don't trade Tarek Skubal if he comes back soon enough and they get the ship righted.
They gotta right the ship. They gotta start doing it a little bit faster than right now, though. I mean, they're 10 games under at this point. If this score holds, they're going to be 11 games under 500. It would be their 6th straight loss. They're -21 to run differential. I mean, teams like that need to start turning it around now if they want to be buyers
100%.
at the deadline, even though it seems like it's very far away, because you don't want to dig yourself in too big of a hole. That's why it's so great the Padres have a 9-game, they're 9 games above 500. And we'll see what they do against the A's this weekend. We're going to talk about the Padres bullpen again in just a little bit. When we come back, we also need to contest it for a midday sports standoff. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Call in, try to take me down in some sports trivia. You will be entered in a chance to win a trip to Vegas. We'll do that. Plus, can the Padres make it through the season and through the playoffs with this rotation and just improve the bullpen? It's an interesting topic of discussion that came up today. We'll get to that when we come back.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
And I was thinking, well, the Ben Higgins show.
Oh, we could go
with while you're gone.
This is so radio.
I mean, you're not here helping me.
Oh my God!
All right, here it comes.
It's Ben and Paul.
When you look at Ben and me, it doesn't scream athlete.
That this paternity leave is going to be a nightmare.
Can't see too well. Is that Wally Pipp over there?
Listen to Ben and Woods weekdays from 6 to 10 a.m. on 97.3 The Fan.
Hi, I'm John, and I'm a maintenance tech at GL Pools. I'm proud of what I do because I take care of more than just water. I'm a steward of the backyard, making sure everything is safe so families can just enjoy their hard-earned space. Recently, we had a new client call right before a party. Their heater wasn't working and guests were on the way. I got it fixed just in time.
Sometimes it's fun to look at some of these expanded standing records, like in the National League. You start comparing what the Padres are doing to everybody else. The one that just stood out to me was day games. I didn't realize how good the Padres were during the day, which is like the exact opposite of what they were a couple of years ago. I swear they're like not even close during the day. There's not a single team in the National League that has more wins on day games than the Padres do. The Padres are 14-5 in day games. Amazing. Take that for what it's worth. Other numbers that I saw pop up. If you compare the Padres and the Dodgers in terms of like their records, obviously they're going to be close because of the fact that they are, I don't know, close in the standings. Are they a game and a half back now? Game back now? Dodgers against the NL Central, 3-3. Padres, 6-7. Pretty close. One game under, 500. Dodgers, 10-7 against the NL West. Padres, 11-7. Padres have one extra win. Against the interleague, Dodgers are 10-5. Padres are 12-6. Against the the National League East, Dodgers are 8-4. Padres have yet to play an NL East team. That's interesting. That ends next week, though. Philly's coming to town on Monday. Do we have tickets to give away for that game?
Yes, we does.
We have tickets to give away for that game. We'll be doing that in the 1 o'clock hour. Real quick before we get to the midday sports standoff, I understand where the Padres are coming from with the sense of let's load up on the bullpen even more so than it already is, because it is going to be easier for us. And when I mean easier, I mean cheaper for us to acquire bullpen arms than it is to acquire a starting pitcher. Maybe you can add 2 elite bullpen arms for the same price as one really good starting pitcher. And when you get to the playoffs, you only need 3 starters, if you will, and then a really good bullpen. Can the Padres win by just loading up on bullpen arms? I think they can. Is it non-traditional? I would say yes, but we have seen, now last year wasn't the case, but we have seen teams like the Dodgers and other teams win the World Series with elite bullpens and just rolling out a couple of guys that were the starting pitchers throughout a playoff series and throughout a playoff run. I think they could use that philosophy to win. I just think it's a little bit more rolling of the dice. But that might be the situation that the Padres have to use based on where they're at in terms of prospect capital and maybe financially.
Correct. I mean, yeah, it's one thing to just continuously fill up this bullpen, but I think, as you said, it's really going to be a test of starting pitching versus bullpen and what really wins you championships. And let's just say if everything goes right, the Padres do make a trade for Josh Hader or Aroldis Chapman or maybe a Cade Smith if Cleveland falls off the rails and they do win a championship. It's also something to do that could also completely reset the market for like starting pitchers, because now all of a sudden it's just been proven maybe you guys aren't as valuable as we thought you were.
I just think it's growing more and more to now like high velocity arms, and the way that they have starting pitchers like in the playoffs, they pull them after 4 innings or like one time through the rotation or through the order, that maybe it is more valuable to have bullpen arms when you get to the playoffs. Now, you do need a starting rotation to make it through the regular season. Do the Padres have enough with the starting rotation to make it through the season so they can just focus on bullpen arms at the deadline? That will remain to be seen until it happens. I'm curious to see Lucas Giolito. I can't wait to watch Lucas Giolito pitch next and see if he could build off his last start. I mean, Griffin Canning, I thought, had a good bounce-back start. Randy Vásquez is pitching at a high level. Even though yesterday didn't go his way and he didn't have his elite stuff, he still kept you in the game. I mean, from a pitching standpoint, I can see why this came out today. I think it's an interesting talking point, and I'm sure it's something to monitor as we continue throughout the season. It is time now, though, to try to get somebody qualified for a trip to Vegas. Let's get to our midday sports standoff. All right, Frank, who we got playing today?
We have Alex and Del Mar playing today. Alex, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good, good. So we're going to do our fun question usually on Fridays. So today we'll get an A's question in here. The A's are 9-time world champions throughout their illustrious history. They've beaten 7 different teams in order to actually hold on 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 9. They've beaten 6 different teams, sorry, in order to win those 9 world championships.
6 or 7?
No, they've won 6 different teams. Who are the 6 different teams that the A's have beaten for their 9 world championships? You will be getting points
Wow,
for teams that come up multiple times. And a big hint, a team like the Washington Senators are not on here. They are all current
They're
franchises.
all current teams.
They're all current franchises, yes.
All right.
Alex, you have the first guess.
All right, let's go the team in the Bay, the other team, the Giants.
That was the big point getter. They've beaten the Giants 3 times, once as the San Francisco Giants and twice as the New York Giants.
So that's how many World Series you said they won?
9. So that's a third of their World Series is.
All right, so that's the only multiple one?
No, there's one more multiple one.
I think they beat the Dodgers once.
They have beaten the Dodgers once. So there's still 3 points to 1, Alex.
All right, I'm going to go Mets.
They did beat the Mets, correct? So 4-1.
Okay. Trying to get good teams here. What about the I want to say the oh no, who was I gonna say? I wanted to say no, that's not who I wanted to say. Let's go with the I wanted to say the Cardinals.
They did beat the Cardinals. It's 4-2. Alex, if you get this one right, you will win it because Braden will not be able to mathematically beat you.
All right. Cubs.
He definitely can't beat you now because they're the only other multiple one. So the Cubs, they beat the Cubs twice. So Alex, you have officially won. Hang on the line. I'll get your information during the break. Braden?
My next guess would have been the Phillies.
Alex, you've already won. You want to take another chance here? You want
to? Did we already say the Reds?
That was my next guess. The Big Red Machine.
Eddie's right. Alex, congratulations. A big win for Alex. Doing what you usually do, which is just wiping the floor. So the A's, again, 9 World Series championships. They beat the San Francisco Giants in 89, the Dodgers in 74, the Mets in 73, the Reds in 72, and then there was a bit of a drought. 1930, they beat the St. Louis Cardinals. 1929, they beat the Chicago Cubs. 1913 and 1911, they beat the New York Giants. And their first World Series came as the Philadelphia A's in 1910 over the Chicago Cubs.
All right. Finally got a qualifier. It's great. Couldn't get the they didn't beat the Phillies was my guess because of the both being in the same city. Hopefully that would be the case, but no, it wasn't. I mean, some of those World Series, there was only like 8 teams anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
So there you go.
We got CJ Dos Santos coming up in just a little bit. The San Diego FC goalkeeper. They are promoting a giveaway.
I put mine over there.
Well, you've been playing with it the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful what you call your gavel there, buddy. That was so funny, Juan, in the YouTube chat. So they're giving this away on Saturday. I had they sent me where'd it go? I had the San Diego FC talking points about it, and then on an email, and then I lost it.
With you.
Anyway, that's coming up on Saturday. CJ Dos Santos was added to the Cape Verde national team, which is going to be competing in the World Cup. So it'll be cool to talk to him about being able to play potentially in the World Cup. Coming up in the next hour, we will also have Bob Scanlan on to finish up the next hour to talk about Padres baseball. What went wrong for the Padres against the Los Angeles Dodgers, and then we'll also talk about the offense for the Padres in the final hour. And it all really centers around one player, and that's basically Fernando Tatis Jr. So where he goes, I know it's where Manny goes, the team goes. Manny hasn't really been playing that well either. It's definitely where they go, the offense goes. And right now, the offense hasn't been that great. Individually, there's been a couple of guys that have shined, guys like Miguel Andujar, right? But overall, this team is going to need Fernando to really come out of his historically bad stretch if the Padres are going to compete. And that's on top of the fact that regardless of everything we just talked about with the trade deadline, Frank, with the bullpen arms and whether you do that or go for a starting pitcher, whatever it may be, you're not going to go very far if Manny and Fernando have their worst years of their career, and by far.
No, absolutely not. And they definitely do need to turn it around in order for this team to have any sort of sustained success. It's nice right now that you're able to sit 9 games over 500 without them doing really anything worth of note. I mean, sure, Manny's hit a couple of home runs every now and again, and Jackson's gotten a couple of big hits and here and there, but it is not sustainable. And we've said this for the last month that they are going to have to start hitting and hitting well if this team wants to win, because what they're doing right now, even though they've built up a nice 9-game cushion, it's not going to last if they continue doing what they're doing. No, it is not. But that's everybody in baseball. I think we lose the plot sometimes on, because we watch all the Padre games in a vacuum. We're just laser focused on one team. But you start looking at, maybe they start populating on your Twitter account when the Padres play these teams. But when you see the complaints from other fans and their teams, they're kind of the same complaints that the Padres fans have about their team. It's a tough game, baseball is. When we come back, CJ Dos Santos is going to come up and join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. We'll talk about San Diego FC's season as well as him representing Cape Verde in the World Cup. We'll have Bob Scanlan on the 135 spot as well. More to come.
o'clock on a Thursday, getting ready for Padres baseball tomorrow, and coming up in just a little bit, trying to get a hold of, but we want to get CJ Dos Santos on the show. He is the goalkeeper for San Diego FC. Big game coming up this weekend for San Diego FC as they promote a fun little activity or a fun little giveaway on their game Saturday against Vancouver. It is a international, or should I say a free mini ball giveaway. It's the World's Game mini ball giveaway presented by DirecTV. First 10,000 fans ages 14 and under are going to receive this soccer ball as they get ready to take on Vancouver on Saturday at 6:30 here at Snapdragon Stadium. So should be a fun contest coming up later this weekend, but we are still working on trying to get him on the line, ready to go as we get ready to do this interview, if you will. But San Diego FC, obviously, kind of shuffling right now, but pretty big soccer event coming to the United States here in the next couple of weeks or so with the World Cup happening. Are we ready to? No, not ready yet. So they're promoting that, obviously, the World's Game. It's kind of a cool little mini ball. Frank's been dribbling it back and forth, holding it in his hand. I've been flipping it back and forth as I try to host a talk show.
Missing.
Unfortunately, they never qualify. So, you know what? That's on you. Okay. When I mean you, I mean them. You can't be upset that the Italians don't make it when they don't qualify on their own. It's tough, you know? So, anyway. I'm still waiting. All right, cool. So, anyway, coming up this Saturday, as I mentioned before, big match and energy, once-in-a-lifetime giveaway. San Diego FC takes on Vancouver May 23rd at 6:30. And the first 10,000 fans, 14 and under, take home a limited edition San Diego FC Nations mini ball, courtesy of DirecTV. You can get your tickets at sandiegofc.com. Again, big game coming up this weekend against Vancouver. And it sounds like we are ready to roll with our interview today. And joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline is the goalkeeper for San Diego FC. Born in Philadelphia, has had an illustrious MLS career. He did a great job last year for San Diego FC in their inaugural season, and has gotten to receive a very big honor of representing Cape Verde coming up in the World Cup. I know he's excited about that. His name is CJ Dos Santos. He joins us on the SDCCU fan hotline. CJ, what's going on, man? How's your Thursday going?
Hey, how you doing, guys? Thank you for having me. I mean, it's a beautiful day out here in San Diego as always, so I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, so it's how can you ever be upset about really anything when you get to live here in beautiful San Diego? So let's talk about, obviously, the season this year. You missed some time at the beginning of the season. Overall, as a team, a lot of frustration probably as a team, but it seems like you guys are starting to work your way out of a lot of these issues that you have had on the field. Seems like collectively you guys are still pulling the rope in the right direction, but what have been some of the challenges so far early in the season, and how have you guys been able to overcome that on this trajectory of playing your way out of what has been probably the toughest stretch you guys have been on since starting as a club?
obviously you play to win the game, and you do everything you can each and every day and on game day to win the game and to bring home 3 points always. Sometimes the most frustrating part is that you do everything in your control. You do everything you do everything well, and you do everything possible to get the win. And sometimes, not just in football, but in life, things just don't go your way. And just going through that overall adversity as a group will actually bring us more together and bring the unity throughout the city and throughout the locker room as well. And with the staff, that'll ultimately just bring us all together.
You joined the team 2024 before the inaugural season. I mean, joining a brand new team that's never played in the city before, that's never, played together before. I mean, obviously it was a little bit different probably than a lot of your, lead up camps to the regular season that you've played in the MLS, for the other teams that you've played for in the MLS, like Inter Miami, to name one. What was last season like for you personally and being part of this organization and being able to write the first year of the history of San Diego FC?
Yeah, I mean, right away from the first day, meeting everybody, it was like the first day of school. We didn't know anybody's names, and just trying to get to know everybody. But you could feel the energy, you could feel the environment within the walls of the training facility, and you couldn't help but feel like we were going to do something special right away from the first day. That was my personal feeling from it. And we've only gotten stronger as a team. We've only gotten more together throughout last year and throughout this year as well.
You've had some big moments already in your San Diego FC part of your career. As you have been on this journey with San Diego FC, what has been your biggest growth area or proudest moment, repping San Diego FC here in the MLS?
Yeah, I just think overall, just growing as a human being and growing as a player and a leader within the team, and just overall gaining that confidence each and every game, every Saturday and every game day, just striving to be a little bit better than the previous game, just striving to be a little bit better than I was yesterday. I think that overall growth and just my teammates and the staff helping me achieve those goals each and every day was so helpful.
We're talking with CJ Dos Santos, the goalkeeper for San Diego FC. He joins us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. CJ, you were born in Philadelphia, grew up on the East Coast, got into soccer, obviously, at a very young age, represented the United States in the under-17s, the under-20s. What was it like for you growing up in Philadelphia playing soccer here in the United States?
There was a lot of cold training sessions, especially from like the November to March time. Not like here in San Diego where it's always sunny and always warm, but just being in that environment and growing overall in the Northeast, and growing as a young man in the Union Academy and with FC Delco as well. I owe them a lot. They've taught me a lot. They've instilled habits into me that I use even to today. It's an absolute honor to be a part of those organizations, and they've helped me a lot even until now.
You got to play some international soccer already, like in the youth, and when you got that opportunity to represent the country that you were born in the United States, what was that honor like?
It was an absolute honor to be a part of that group and to be with those amazing players. Even now, like a lot of those players that I've played with are playing at the highest level right now, and it's amazing to be one of the names within those rosters back in those times. It was nice to be a part of that, to be a part of those groups and to learn from them and to learn from the staff and to learn the culture and the footballing culture growing up from 14 to until 20 and 21 years old.
You were born in Philadelphia, but your father is from Cape Verde. And with that, you have been able to now, with a transfer over and getting the approval from FIFA, you've been able to now represent his country and represent, your family's name and be able to be on the roster that gets to compete in the World Cup, which gets to be in the country you were born in. So a lot of different changing of things there, but I'm sure it's an honor for you to represent your dad's country, where he was from, where your heritage is from. What was that experience like for you? What was the opportunity like? And when you found out that you were going to be a part of this thing coming up in a couple of weeks, what was your excitement level as a kid that grew up playing this great game, being able to play in the highest level of this great game?
Yeah, it's funny how the footballing world works, how everything is connected in one way or another. Being able to represent the country of one of my heritages and being able to represent that country in the country where I was ultimately born in. It's just funny how everything is connected one way or another. And just being able to represent that country at a world stage and overall just being a part of that history and being able to make history and just being one of the names on that roster. It's an absolute blessing and it's an absolute honor to be a part of that.
Cape Verde is a place that's off the coast of the continent of Africa. Obviously, it's got Portuguese roots. I know your mom is Portuguese. Tell us, maybe a lot of people driving around that might not know a lot about Cape Verde, what it's like as a country, like where it's located, like specifically, and what you like about Cape Verde.
Yeah, it's a small country of 10 islands off the west coast of Africa. And I would say it's like a tropical island, lots of beaches, beautiful weather all year round. The people there are so happy and so joyful. They have what's called alegria, which is like joy, just, gratitude just for life. And, they have passion for the game. They have passion for life. And when you're there, you can ultimately feel that passion through music, through dancing, through football, and just overall. They're the type of people that if you knock on their door and you say hello to them, they'll invite you in for a party or for dinner, and just overall just to enjoy each other's company and to ultimately grow upon that culture.
In terms of, and we're talking with CJ Dos Santos, he is the goalkeeper for San Diego FC as he gets prepared not only for a big match coming up on Saturday, but also during some international play as he's going to represent Cape Verde in the World Cup here in the United States. What's that experience like? Obviously, there's going to be a lot of players from Cape Verde. You grew up in the United States. How cool is it to be able to connect with your teammates from a heritage perspective, from the place obviously your dad is from, and kind of understanding maybe even more about, the culture of, where your family's from that you didn't even know. Like, have you been able to do that with this, with your teammates? I mean, how much more did you get to learn about your heritage? I mean, that's probably a cool feeling, being able to be part of this a little bit more and sharing that experience with some of your teammates as you guys get ready for the World Cup.
Yeah, growing up and experiencing that culture as a kid and teenager was obviously an amazing thing. Being with cousins, being with aunts and uncles, being with my grandparents as well. You kind of absorb that culture from a young age, and being able to experience and absorb that culture as an adult now, it's an amazing feeling. And a lot of my teammates are experiencing the same thing. They were born in different countries, France, Portugal, Holland. And, we all get together now and being able to represent this country. We may have different birthing places, but the culture and the heritage is always in our roots. It's always in our blood. And we're able to bond over that and to overall just grow as a team and grow as friends going into that.
You mentioned like how crazy the football world is and connecting all the countries. I mean, it's crazy in terms of a timeline too. I mean, you go from bouncing from team to team. Obviously, you got San Diego FC obligations that you have to get to. We have international time periods. I mean, everybody in football is going around the world, constantly jumping on different teams for different things. With the World Cup coming up, obviously, and the MLS season going on around the same time here in the United States, what do the next couple of weeks look like for CJ Dos Santos? When you practice and play with San Diego FC, when do you practice and play with Cape Verde?
Cape Verde.
And where are you guys going to be having your base camp at in the United States?
Right now I'm kind of just focusing on being with San Diego FC and preparing for this game against Vancouver Whitecaps on Saturday. And then once that is finished, once my obligations with San Diego are done this week, at the end of this week, I'm going to start flipping the switch and focusing more on the international level. We have a camp in Lisbon, Portugal next week. We have one friendly against Serbia on the 31st. And then from there, we travel to Boston. We have another mini training camp and another friendly in Connecticut as well. And then from there, we'll be going to our home base, I guess you could say, in Tampa, Florida, the week before the first match.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun little schedule coming up. Let's talk about Saturday. Obviously, it's a big day. Have you seen have they shown around the new the little giveaway that they're throwing out there, the little mini ball?
Oh, yeah. I've been looking at that.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool little giveaway that they have for the kids and the people that are coming out to the game. But from your perspective, obviously you got to get ready for Vancouver. What are some of the challenges that you guys face against them coming into Saturday?
You know, obviously with them being the team that knocked us out in the last game of the season last year, we go into this game with a little bit of a chip on our shoulder and wanting to make things right in that regard. You know, obviously they're a great team with great players and a great coach. And they're obviously having a great season as well. So we're just going to go in there and just do our absolute best and stick to our game plan and do everything that we can possible to bring the 3 points back home in front of our home fans.
CJ, appreciate the time, man. Thanks again for joining us today. Good luck this weekend against Vancouver. And I know you got a lot of people in San Diego that are going to be paying real close attention to Cape Verde in the World Cup and hopefully rooting you on here in San Diego. So good luck. Enjoy the experience. Really cool opportunity for you. And look forward to talking to you again when you guys come back and resume with San Diego FC.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
CJ Dos Santos, the goalkeeper for San Diego FC, joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. Really cool talking with him. I mean, what a cool experience that he gets to do. He's got to play for the United States. He's getting to play for Cape Verde and represent his heritage and represent his family and get to do it on the biggest stage, the FIFA World Cup. There's nothing bigger than that in soccer. So you could tell he's excited for that, but still locked into San Diego FC. Should be a good game on Saturday. Hopefully San Diego FC, Frank, can build off of some of the progress that they have made in the last couple of weeks, but they got to start racking up some wins.
Yeah, they definitely have. And they are running the risk of falling now a little bit too far behind. I believe you have to be in the top 8 in order to make the postseason in the MLS. So they're still hovering there, but much like we've been talking about with the Padres, you don't want to dig yourself into too deep a hole for when, by the time you do get it right, you get the ship righted, then it's too difficult it's too difficult to hold to dig out of. So doing an against Vancouver, it's a very good opponent, one of the better opponents they've played here recently. We'll see if any of that momentum that they've built against Austin and against Cincinnati, even though the match against Cincinnati didn't end the way they wanted it to, we'll see if any of that momentum carries over.
Hopefully they can get the job done against Vancouver. When we come back, we're going to dive back into Padres baseball, where things have gone wrong for Fernando, and then to finish up the show, Bob Scanlan will join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. We'll get to that as we have final 2 segments here on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. 123 on a Thursday, going into a holiday weekend here in San Diego. Beautiful weather this whole week. Hopefully beautiful weather continues throughout the weekend. Padres get ready to take on the A's for the next 3 days, starting tomorrow. And then there's the Phillies in town. And we have tickets to give away for the Phillies. Padres and Phillies at Petco Park on Memorial Day. We will have a trivia question for you when we go to break. If you are the first one to call in and successfully answer said trivia question, you will win 2 tickets to Padres and Phillies at Petco Park on Memorial Day. We will get to that later on after this segment. Now, we do want to talk. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but the Padres and their offense. The Padres' offensive issues are no longer a small sample size, I would say. They lost 4-0 to the Dodgers yesterday, dropped the series despite multiple opportunities to swing momentum in their favor. And the defining moments yesterday in particular, Fernando Tatis Jr.'s inning-ending double play in the 5th, Miguel Andujar's inning-ending double play in the 8th. The difference between the two, Andujar's felt unlucky. Tatis felt more symbolic of a much larger issue. The Padres are still 29-20 and remain in playoff position, but the underlying offensive metrics are becoming impossible to ignore. MLB worst 221 team batting average. MLB worst 658 OPS. 6 regulars hitting 215 or worse. 6 regulars with OPS marks under 603. The Padres are winning despite the offense, not because of it. And the center point of this conversation about the offense has to be around Fernando Tatis Jr. and his slump, because that is becoming the story of the season. This is historically bad for a player of his caliber. Tatis has now gone 206 plate appearances without a home run, an entire quarter of the season without leaving the yard. That's almost unprecedented for a player with his pedigree. He hit 42 home runs in 2021. And since 2000, among every player with a 42-homer season, only aging veterans Luis Gonzalez and Miguel Cabrera had longer homerless droughts afterward. And Tatis is in his prime. He's not in his late 30s. This is no longer he's just missing pitches, bad luck, a few warning trackouts. I mean, this is a legitimate mechanical and maybe mental collapse at the plate. Eno Saris on Ben and Woods earlier today mentioned that since they started tracking swing speeds and exit velos, players with his swing speed and exit velo historically have never hit fewer than 20 home runs in a season. Did you hear that on the morning show today?
I did not, no.
Do you understand how crazy that sounds?
Yeah, that's insane.
With a guy swinging as hard and hits the ball as hard as Fernando does, nobody who has done that as consistently as Fernando has ever hit less than 20 home runs since they started tracking this. Hey, you know what? Maybe he's got 20 home runs ready to go when we in the second half of the season. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. We'll see what happens and how he can adjust to this, but it's still a glaring issue. Now, this is why a lot of the problems are mechanical and not physical, because of the fact he's hitting the ball hard. This is like, some people in the YouTube chat, complain about the hard hit percentage, how it doesn't matter. It does matter, but it's not whether or not he's hitting the ball hard. Ground balls have completely taken over his game. Tatis' swing profile has deteriorated badly. 53% ground ball rate this season. 63% of balls in play since May 1st are grounders, and 41 of his last 70 plate appearances ended in strikeouts or groundouts. Even when he hits the ball hard, 55 balls hit 100 miles an hour plus, 30 of those were grounders. Kevin Acee talked about this in his newsletter today. He's talked about this in his newsletter multiple times since the start of May. The power is effectively being neutralized before the ball even has a chance. The most alarming stat, only 3 fly balls all year projected 370 plus feet, and the longest fly ball was 393 feet. For a player once considered one of baseball's premier power threats, it's very stunning. And I think that the mechanical side of things was the problem initially. I now think it's more of a mental side because it's starting to become a lot more visible. The Padres believe he's pressing. Manager Craig Stammen openly acknowledged the mental toll. Coaches are trying to preach patience, and Tatis is trying too hard to escape the slump quickly. His chase rate has climbed significantly recently. Early in the season, it was 27%. His last 20 games, 35%. That jump tells the story. He's expanding the zone. He's swinging at uncompetitive pitches. He's trying to force results instead of letting them come to him naturally. And this is the biggest problem with Fernando. Why does that equate to the offense? This matters beyond just Fernando because Tatis is the engine of this lineup. The Padres can survive a cold stretch from Xander Bogaerts. They can survive inconsistent catching. They can survive injuries. And they can survive a weak bottom of the order production. What they cannot survive long-term is Fernando becoming a non-power ground ball heavy hitter at the top of the lineup because the roster is built around his star power, his slugging, and his ability to change games instantly. If Tatis were even merely below average instead of disastrous, which he is now, he'd still rank near the team lead in home runs, near the team lead in OPS, and the offense would look very functional. A lot more than it really is, or a lot more than it does now. Instead, the lineup lacks the fear it's looking for. It lacks the explosive innings and constantly plays in one-run environments, which, as we mentioned, with a lot of teams that are off to great starts that have had great numbers in one-run games, it's not sustainable. So when you look at Fernando and you look at the way he has played, Frank, this to me was mechanical and now it has become mental. And the biggest problem is he is the driving force of this team.
Yeah, it is definitely. We talked about it yesterday. Last year was kind of a lost year with everything that was going on off the field surrounding Fernando. This is starting to become a lost year because he's just lost at this point. I mean, he really needs to do something to get himself back to equilibrium. Maybe today helps. Maybe today's day off helps. Maybe it's just a case of if he gets a hold of one that he actually gets rewarded for. If he ropes a double into the gap, maybe that'll unlock something like, okay, hey, that worked. Let's keep doing that kind of thing. So at this point, it is a problem. It is a worry. It's early anymore. This is a genuine trend for him now. And it has not looked good at all.
No,
and
it's
getting
not.
worse.
And the thing is he needs to figure it out before the offense will not find. I don't think the offense is going to find its rhythm until he finds his rhythm. I really don't. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. This one might be a difficult trivia question today, but I'm going to give a hint for it. The Phillies in 1944. This is the trivia question to win 2 tickets to Padres and Phillies on Memorial Day at Petco Park. You can get your tickets now at padres.com/tickets. All right. In 1944, the Phillies organization, held a fan contest to solicit a second nickname for the Phillies because apparently being called the Philadelphia Philadelphias was kind of getting old. The fans voted on this name. Elizabeth Crooks designed a logo which perched on the players' sleeves, but not everyone appreciated the change, especially Johns Hopkins University. What other name did the Phillies play under during the 1944 season? First one to call in and answer that correctly will win today's contest. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. What other name did the Phillies play under during the 1944 season? First one to call and answer that correctly will win today's prize. 1:39 on a Thursday. We're broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. I want to congratulate again Alex and Delmar for qualifying for a shot at our grand prize, a $500 gift card to Westgate Las Vegas, the home of legendary Vegas fun. Now offering the breakaway from fees package, including a $75 daily dining credit, 2-day spa passes, daily cabaret tickets, complimentary valet parking, and no resort fees. Special rates starting at $89 a night. Book now at westgatelasvegas.com. Who won the trivia question today?
It would be our boy Wilbur the Wildcat in the chat. Brenton in San Diego. Congratulations.
Congratulations to Brenton in San Diego for correctly answering the alternate nickname for the Phillies in 1944. That would be the Blue Jays. Didn't work out too well because the Johns Hopkins University did not like the fact that they made a Blue Jay that looked like them. Quickly got rushed away. Joining us now on the SDCCU fan hotline to give us a recap and to talk about the Padres last week of the season. He's joined us last couple of Thursdays. We love talking with him each and every Thursday. He's a broadcaster for the San Diego Padres. Also, former big leaguer Bob Scanlan joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. Bob, hopefully you're having a good Thursday. What's going on?
Great and happy Thursday. I'm having a great Thursday. How about yourself?
I'm having a great one as well. It's always great talking Padres baseball. Always great doing the round table today. You know, getting ready for the big weekend, obviously. Memorial Day weekend should be a fun time. Obviously, a fun week for every time these two teams play each other. The Dodgers got the best of the Padres 2 out of 3. All the games are very close. All the games are very competitive. A couple of things here and there that might have gone or not gone the Padres' way. What was Bob Scanlan's biggest takeaway from the Padres-Dodgers series, and what did you learn about this Padres team?
No, I just thought it was a fun series. It was just really cool, right? I mean, first game is a 1-0 contest, and the next game, it goes all the way down to the last pitch of that game as well. So I just thought those first two games were just super fun and exciting from beginning to end. And it got contests where every little thing matters, right? I mean, you're breaking down every little cutoff throw, you're breaking down every ABS challenge, you're breaking down every plate appearance. I mean, I thought it was super fun. And then the last game, you know, as Craig Stammen said, even though it was 3-0 and you felt like the momentum was taken away with the Ohtani home run in the first plate appearance, and the Padres, you know, are kind of trying to play catch up the rest of the time because of this team and how good they've been at coming back. You know, you're thinking to yourself, okay, this is fine. If we get Ohtani out of the game, because Ohtani was being Ohtani on the mound, right? You get him out of the game, and we got a chance to get to their bullpen possibly. But to the Dodgers' credit, their bullpen has been absolutely locked down for, 29 consecutive scoreless innings now. So, but, you know, I thought it was a fun series. I thought it was a good preview of what these matchups should be moving forward. I think you've got two teams, neither of which are really hitting at full speed at this point. The Dodgers have had some issues with some of their best hitters not doing well. We obviously have talked a lot about the Padres' struggles with some of their superstars, and yet we still saw superstar moments in the series, didn't we? Freddie Freeman with the 2 home runs, Manny Machado getting a home run as well. So, you know, I just thought it was a fun series overall, and I'm looking forward to these matchups as the season goes on.
Yeah, I thought it was a very much a measuring stick series, and the Padres are right there, I think, with LA. A couple of things go their way. Probably, you know, you're talking about 2 out of 3 for the Padres in this particular series. Yep. That's how close it was. I think the talent level is very evenly matched. It's all about limiting mistakes. Let's talk about, you know, and I know you guys mentioned it on the post-game show that you guys do, but, you know, for some more perspective on the Mason Miller error that he made, you know, from a pitching perspective, when you talk about pickoff moves to first, obviously things have changed now. You can't pick over as many times as you have in the past. You know, Mason Miller in particular, I don't really see him pick over a lot anyway, because he's got such great stuff that he's always focused on the hitter at the plate more so than anything else. But I thought, you know, a lot of people that might have said, like, why didn't he take a little bit off right there? When you're working on your pickoff move, Bob, as a pitcher, you know, you don't really change too much on the pickoff. It's basically the same one almost every time if you want to get into a rhythm. How do you evaluate that the pickoff and what happened, you know, from a pitching perspective, for a lot of people that might have said, well, why didn't he just lob it over there?
I love that. Just lob it over there. Yeah, you're right. It's so there are a few different topics there, right? I mean, first of all, you're you're right in that how many times have we seen Mason Miller throw over to first base this year? That was the first time. In part because he never has anybody on base.
Right.
Right. And then when he does, you're not too worried about the runners going because generally he's in with a lead. So the running game is not going to be very aggressive for opposing teams. And, he's punching guys out. So that was his first throw over to first base. And it starts with a base running error, right? The runner takes off too soon. Everybody's probably yelling, step off. But as a pitcher, if you're already thinking to yourself, okay, I'm just going to turn and go over to first base, you're going to go as quickly as you can, right? You're blind over there. You don't know if the guy is 10 feet off first base, if he's halfway to the second base, you don't know. So you're going to turn and burn, man. You're going and you're getting that ball as quickly as you possibly can to your first baseman because he's got to get the throw and then relay it over to second base in time. So it's not really a situation where you're thinking to yourself in that split second, oh, don't throw it as, like I normally do. You wheel, you fire, you get it over to your first baseman as quickly as you can. And, being Mason Miller, he throws 102 miles an hour. That ball probably was 95 over to Ty. But the other thing that's going on there, Braden, is from my experience, usually when I've turned that quickly and I've pulled the ball to the inside part of the infield away from my first baseman, not only have I pulled the ball in that direction, but I've probably gotten around the ball a little bit. So it's cutting away also. And, you got it's thrown hard. It's already offline. And now you've gotten around it a little bit, which is why it's offline. And now it's going to be cutting even further away. And Ty France just ran out of glove there to be able to grab that one. So, there's a lot of things that are happening there, split second. And I don't blame Mason Miller for trying to get it over there as quickly as he can. And unfortunately, it was just a little bit wide. That's what happens sometimes.
Yeah, those plays happen a lot. I mean, there's nothing really more that Mason Miller or Ty France could have done because, for the people that weren't blaming Mason Miller for not lobbing it over there, we're blaming, how did Ty France not catch that ball? I don't know. It's going 95 miles an hour, cutting and moving in a direction away from me. It's kind of a little bit difficult to handle. The other big play, obviously, in that particular game, like last night had some interesting moments, but the second game was the one that the mistakes kind of led to the Dodgers ending up winning the game. But a lot of these mistakes weren't even like drastic mistakes. It was kind of like a hang with them. The cutoff play, you guys aired a lot of different angles of the cutoff play on television. You guys talked about it where Sungmin Song cut off the throw from Fernando. The ball looked like it was cutting up the third base line. I'm sure we've had a lot of debates on that on social media and throughout. I'm sure you've gotten a lot of DMs about it as well. What was your take on Sungmin Song cutting the ball off there to the plate?
No, it was the only chance that he had. They did a great job. Freddie and Song did a great job of lining up, right? It wasn't as though he was offline. It was a perfect line from Freddie to Song to Tatis. So as a cutoff man, if the ball's coming right at you, you can let it go. But if the ball is pulling you off to the line, you've got to go get it and redirect it. And that's exactly what happened. He took a couple steps to his left because he saw the throw is going to be offline. If you see the high home picture of it, you can see Fermin also starts to move up the line a couple of steps because he sees that the throw is offline as well. And then Song cuts it appropriately, redirects it, and then Fermin starts going back to home plate because he realizes he's not going to have to go up the line to get that ball. It was the only chance they had. That ball being up the line and the runner coming down, there's no way they were going to get him. The only shot they had was how they executed it. Song cut it off. He got rid of it as quickly as he possibly could. For me, that's really not a debatable play at all. I thought everybody did what they were supposed to do. What was interesting is how close it was because the runner at third base was actually scheduled to go on contact. So he had a larger lead than normal off of third base. And so the ball goes in the air. He actually has to go back to third and doesn't get as good a break off the third base bag as he normally would have had he not had a larger lead being in a going on contact situation. So that's kind of what made the play even as close as it was. But I thought the Padres did everything they possibly could right there.
I agree, Bob. It's a lot of the little things. The Padres did the best they could, and unfortunately, that happens in baseball. It gets a little bit elevated sometimes when you're playing a team like the Los Angeles Dodgers. But they lost 2 out of 3 to LA. That's coming off of a big weekend against the Mariners, where they ended up sweeping the Mariners and the offense got going. I thought Tony brought up a good point today on the roundtable, and I want to ask your opinion on it. When we were asked about how you would evaluate the last week of play for the Padres and about the offense, he sees the light at the end of the tunnel for this Padres team. I think a lot of fans might not see that with a couple of games now against the Dodgers, but when you look at the overall weekend into this week, the Padres hammered some good pitchers. Some other good pitchers beat them up a little bit, but they ended up putting up some significant runs in the last 6 games. It looks like a bright sign for the Padres offense moving forward, even though it might seem a little clouds being a little gray after the 3-game series against the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's tough to read, right? And obviously this last game you're facing Ohtani, who's got a 0.82 earned run average, right? I mean, so you can't really factor that one in. You got some offense from Manny Machado in game number 2. You had, like you pointed out, you've had some offense against the Seattle Mariners. It looked like the offense was starting to come around, and they continue. It's been the same story all along, hasn't it? In terms of you've really not gotten the big production out of the guys that you expect. Manny and Toddy and Merrill, and Laureano has struggled. The catching spot has sort of been a blank spot other than Campy. But you've gotten nice contributions from Andujar, and Xander Bogaerts has been fairly consistent all season long. And Castellanos, his last 9 games, he's hitting .310, and Ty France is hitting .278 on the season, and all those guys, and Gavin Sheets, what he's done. So, I mean, there have been a lot of contributions from guys other than your big boys, and that's awesome. That's amazing. And, thank God that that's happened. It's why you're 29-20 at this point. So, how long can you continue to ride that wave? That remains to be seen. And, is it a sustainable way of doing things? Probably not. Is it the ideal preferred way of doing things? No, but you still got to believe at some point that, Manny's going to start kicking it in. Toddy's going to start kicking in. Jackson Merrill's going to kick it in. Laureano's going to start kicking it in. And you're not going to have to rely on the other players to be coming up with these amazing 8th and 9th inning home runs and, base hits with the game on the line. So, credit to the Padres. They've made the most of the situation. And you got to believe that at some point that other part is going to turn around. And in the meantime, thank goodness that these other guys have been able to step up. So, I'm as optimistic as anybody in terms of Manny and Toddy and Jackson and Laureano, kicking it in at some point. And why would it not? I mean, I don't know how else you look at it at this point, Braden, other than thank God for the guys that have gotten the job done. They've stepped up when needed, and hopefully those big guys start kicking it in here pretty soon. And when they do, if you have an overlap of the big guys doing what they're supposed to do and the other guys contributing the way they have also, it can be a lot of fun. And then finally you're taking some of that pressure off the pitching staff, which has held up remarkably well considering how nip and tuck a lot of these games have been.
We only got about a minute left, Bob, but I do want to ask a follow-up on that or really, add to that. For everybody that wants to say give these guys multiple days off or move them down the order. I mean, as well as anybody, Bob, I mean, the best way to kind of get out of issues is to play, right?
Yeah, no, it's a balancing act, right? I mean, I've heard that for a long time in terms of, just give that guy a week off or sit him down or whatever it may be. It's like most of these guys don't respond that well. A couple of days off, I think, is usually about what most guys need physically and mentally to do a little bit of a reset. But when you start sitting for an extended period of time, that starts getting in your head as much as anything else. So I have confidence in these guys that they're going to eventually figure things out and turn it around. And, our rest needed at time, of course. And I think Craig's done a great job of rotating everybody through to not only try to keep guys as fresh as possible, but also give the other guys the opportunities to play, which I think has allowed them to perform, as we just talked about. So, gotta keep going at it, man. That's the beauty of baseball. A lot of times it's a grind, and how guys get out of those slumps, that's a whole nother topic that we can go into at some point. I can tell you how it worked for me as a pitcher. I don't know if it's the same for hitters, but I think it generally is for players in terms of trying to get off of the big picture topics and get back to what can I control right here, right now, is one thing. It's this pitch I'm about to throw, or this pitch that's about to be delivered to me as a batter, or this pitch that's about to be delivered when I'm on the defensive side. Sounds simple, but it's not, especially when you feel like things are spiraling out of control. So we'll see how it goes, guys.
Bob, I appreciate the time as always. Maybe we'll talk about that next week, but hopefully we don't have to because they got out of the slumps that they might be in.
I love it. Sounds good.
Think about it positively. Bob, enjoy the 3-day weekend. Look forward to watching you on television. Thanks again, as always, for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week. Bob Scanlan on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. Talk to you guys tomorrow.
Padres Athletic.